please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough when mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right guys, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
We will get to the hockey in a second, Stugotz, but I am legitimately torn by what it is that's going on with the Celtics because it's allowed to be unsatisfying, right? To watch it outside of Boston, anybody watching what is happening with the Celtics, steamrolling everybody. At any other point in history, we would be looking at a basketball team and saying, good God, one of the all-time greats, being able to lose only twice and steamrolling everybody in games that are not close.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, the way this has gone, I don't think anyone's changed their minds about what Mazzulla is as a coach. I don't think anyone is terribly impressed with what Jason Tatum has put together.
I mean, they're 2 games away from winning a title.
I know.
I mean...
And history only remembers the championship was won. But, Stugotz, I will say the way that things become memorable, whether it's storylines or close games, is you have a series of moments that you remember. You have you have greatness tested. You've proved to us, Jason Tatum, that the stat line that you have isn't going to pale compared to Drew Holiday's stat line. Drew Holiday is 38 points, 19 rebounds, 8 assists, no turnovers. That's Drew Holiday.
Crazy.
They got Drew Holiday to help Jason Tatum, not to win it for him. They got rid of Marcus Smart and put people in place to help lift Jason Tatum, and now you're in a situation where what you're watching from Jason Tatum is just unsatisfying.
In fairness to Jason Tatum, he is doing a lot of the things that we have asked him to do. Now, it's not up to him whether or not he gets those situations late in the game, but he is going to the rim an awful lot, and he is creating opportunities for his teammates. He had the assists last night. He had the rebounds. He had, by anyone's measure, that would be considered, Dan, okay, a really good, very good playoff game. He's having a good series. Fortunately for Jason Tatum, he's on a team where he doesn't have to be the best guy every single night.
Oh, but Stugotz, the way that this is going to end up playing out, which I think is going to disorient people, is this team is built for what the modern sport has become. Defend the three. Dallas shoots 20% from three. Kyrie Irving hasn't made a three in the series. You defend the three well, and you shoot the three well, but not in this game, because to have both teams shoot 25% or under, Stugotz, You're watching bad basketball. You're watching a lot of missed shots. Nobody wants to celebrate defensive basketball, but what these Celtics are the evolution of the sport. Nobody wants to talk about architecture this time of year, Stugotz. They want to talk about story and drama and were you better than the other guy in big moments.
But with this team, it's a part of it. The way the team was built is certainly a part of the story.
It's not a part of it. It's the story.
Okay, so it's part of the story. It's a big part of the story.
I know, but
Brad Stevens deserves credit for the way he built this team.
Agreed, Stugotz, but it's not why anybody watches.
Right.
That's not agreed. Brad Stevens, congratulations.
Yep.
You want to make an executive the reason that you're watching the finals?
We did talk about that last week, that it'd be funny if he became the first ever executive to win MVP of the series.
Didn't Bob Myers steal that last night?
Yeah, Bob Myers stole Stugotz's take.
Yeah.
To make him finals MVP because they're putting the Celtics in a position where the pieces that they got. That show, incidentally, is getting crushed. The halftime show and the postgame show for ESPN just getting annihilated because all people are realizing now, oh, wait, it just exists for 7 seconds at a time between commercials. There's no show there. It's getting crushed.
Couldn't believe my eyes and ears when I saw an NBA Finals postgame anchored by Bob Myers, Michael Wilbon, and Josh Hart. Now, all respectively in their own industries, nice careers. If we're going to have an active player there, I would love one with finals experience. I would love anybody really with finals experience. I know Bob Myers was an executive there, but he's out there an executive caping up for executives, and you have Mike Wilbon essentially being your quarterback. We've done this for 25 years where there's a revolving door with Mike Wilbon, and he's just flatly telling you, I don't believe in stats. It's just not – I don't know how anyone over at the NBA is happy with this.
They're probably not, though, right? We're going to probably see what we see every year. They'll shake it up, get a new crew, and see if they can find
But they'll shake it up, and Michael Wilbon will always end up being there.
Right.
Like they've been unhappy reportedly with ESPN's NBA coverage for the majority of the time ESPN has had the contract, and yet we still see some of the same players. And if it's not one executive, it's another. It's just they keep expecting different results.
Mike is right. The one constant throughout time is Michael Wilbon.
The situation that you find yourself in when Stephen A. Smith is working as much as he is that he's got to get out of there, I assume, to either drive or take a private flight to First Take in the morning.
Right, which is weird because First Take's a priority, and that shows you everything. No, I would think it's on Network ABC. The priority here is the NBA Finals postgame show. No?
Well, let's rewind for a second because I thought of Billy Saturday night.
Is it the post-game show, SVP on SportsCenter? I mean, that's what it's become, right?
Usually they replace whatever is happening in the postgame. They just let Scott Van Pelt handle it because he does an exceptional job. But I was thinking about Billy on Saturday night because as the Panthers are playing a Stanley Cup final game, you get the rare Marlins regular season nationally televised game on Fox. They quickly lose 8-0 to the Guardians while the Panthers are playing in the Stanley Cup final. Billy, is that the game that you were checked in on? Were you watching the Marlins and the Guardians as the Panthers played in the first Stanley Cup final game?
No, I was watching the Ice Cats, as is done during the Stanley Cup Finals. That's what you do. I'll check back in on the Marlins after the Cup Final's done. I've been very consistent on this. I said when we get to the Stanley Cup Final, I will be locked in. I will be there. Now, people play defense against me to prevent me from getting a credential. That's perfectly fine.
Right.
The Ice Cats are rallying around behind me, and they're going to win it on my behalf, and I appreciate them for that. I will say this. What?
Explain to me what happened with you and the credential. I wasn't here last week, so I don't know how the
There was some gatekeeping around these parts to keep old Billy away from the Stanley Cup Final, which is fine. If that's the way people want to handle this situation, that's fine. I will not be covering the Stanley Cup in person, but I still will be doing so from the comforts of my own home because I'm not going to give up on this team just because people are trying to keep me away from it. Not going to happen.
What's the problem? Was it that Meadowlark asked for too many credentials and David Dwork was in front of you in line? What happened?
Oh, he got his
Fired at
credential.
Dworky over here. Jeez, unnecessary.
Well, I just said his name.
He got his credential through the Hockey News, not through us.
How many credentials did Meadowlark
Catching a stray.
request? Did Billy? So Billy got knocked out. You can't get into the arena.
Correct. I'm not as a member of the credentialed media, which is fine.
I
That's
saw
fine.
Stunt Dan was there.
Listen.
I mean, if you want to work the camera.
I've been told things we don't need to get to. I've been told things, but I believe defense has been played against me to get me to the Stanley Cup Final.
I actively played defense against Billy to get into the Stanley Cup Final. After
not naming names.
After all the official parameters were explored in terms of applying for a credential, people knowing that I have a good relationship over with the Florida Panthers were like, hey, do you mind asking a favor so Billy can go over there and get over the entire experience? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'd rather maintain my good relationship than have Billy make fun of them directly to their faces.
Cool if Billy sarcastically covers this Panther series?
Yeah, no thanks.
I happen to think that I'd be growing the Panthers fan base. I would say the people that follow me aren't necessarily the biggest hockey fans.
You tell them.
And I would be introducing them to a great team and a great story. But if they're not interested in growing their fan base, then that's perfectly fine. That's their prerogative.
Okay.
Not on me. I'm just trying to do my part. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, your part. Okay.
Help out the team. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell the Oilers you got to go high on Bob. I'm not gonna tell them that. They can figure that out on their own.
Sure. All right, this is what happened. Okay?
Prolific offense.
All right, so the credential window opened early May.
Love a good window.
I applied.
Hogwash. That was never relayed to anyone around these parts, I'll just say.
I applied for myself, Rose, and Danny. Rose and Danny being the camera people, Danny being the backup.
Behind the scenes of the hockey show.
So that's what happened.
Important.
The window closed May 30th. Billy asked June 3rd.
Let's open that window
Right.
back up. Let's just
But Billy has stated all along he will not focus on hockey until they make it to the Stanley Cup.
If anything,
Right.
I announced that months ago.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I think someone should have put a pin in that, but that's fine.
I'm really thinking about you when I'm.
I think
applying
about
for
you when
credentials.
I think hockey. I think about you, so I don't know why it's not mutual.
Right.
I was playing a game earlier, guys, and I'm wondering if you guys want to play this. Roy did
Let's
not
play.
want to play this game. Here is the game. It's how long of a ban would Roy accept from covering the Panthers in exchange for illegally drinking out of the Stanley Cup on the night that they win it?
Wow.
Like, I
So
would go
they
to
win.
jail.
They win the cup, and Roy
Wow.
goes over and he just takes a chug out of the Stanley Cup to celebrate. Because Roy, I'll admit this. Roy has been following this team longer than I have, and he cares slightly more than I do about this team. I will admit that. I'm not here to kind of spread falsehoods.
Yeah, that's great.
So I said, Roy, if they win, you got to take a chug out of that cup that night. He's like, no. And I'm like, well, what if they invite you to? He's like, well, then I'll do it. I'm like, no, but what if they don't invite you to? You got to do it. Their first Stanley Cup, you got to do it. I was like, would you, like, in exchange for a lifetime ban? And he's like, absolutely.
What
not.
about regular season? Next year's regular season, you can't cover a single game.
regular
No.
season games?
He wouldn't even do that.
Roy.
So
I
that
said
means-
a 2-year ban. He said no. I said 1 year. He said no. He won't do it.
So that means I can't be at the arena during the home opener when they raise that banner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can't be there to raise a banner, but you're there chugging out of the cup the night that they win. Like,
Right.
that's a lot cooler than the banner's going to be up in the rafters forever.
No.
You can see the banners whenever.
Roy,
No.
this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity
Exactly.
to chug beer out of the Stanley Cup. Who cares about a banner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I care about a ban. I'm not going to get banned from covering this team.
Just-
World League.
He wants
for
that
a
picture
season.
up there.
Just
Billy's
for regular
already
season.
banned.
Exactly right. I was banned.
I didn't ban you.
I
The
got to
league
tell
did.
you, I was banned, and it's not that big a deal. Because if they came back now and they're like, you want to come? I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Okay.
I got what I wanted out of this exchange.
We were
Sure.
very lucky today that a motivated Billy showed up and he said that he had a single takeaway from Game 2 of the
NBA final.
and of
I'm
the
covering
NBA
all the
finals.
championships from
Yes.
afar.
Yeah.
They also didn't credential me, but I didn't ask.
You have Meadowlark had a whole bunch of people credentialed at that uninteresting game, but Billy, you have a single takeaway for us off of Game 2.
Yeah, defense wins championships.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate
Right.
you
Derek White
giving
block.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
he goes up there.
I mean,
blocks PJ Washington. Maybe a foul. Maybe a foul on Jaylen Brown. That's for others to
Might
say.
be 2 fouls on that
That's
one.
for others to say, not me. But that block, I mean, you see, it's a 5-point game at that point. That dunk makes it a 2-point game. If they call it foul, it's a 3-point. Sorry, that dunk makes it a 3-point game. If they call it foul, it's a 2-point game. Instead, it's a block. Defense wins championships. Goes the other way, 7 points. That's a big swing, Dan. That's a 5-point swing by my math.
That sequence there was
Watching
pretty.
sports.
That sequence right there was pretty indicative of how you watch this through the prism of a hater, because I am absolutely a Celtics hater. And I think the most disappointing part about this is I still don't trust that team if they're going up against a team that has guts or maybe a healthy superstar, right?
Oh, I don't want to hear it, Mike.
And it's just like
no.
you could see the Celtics team like they're dying for someone to take this from them, and Josh Green isn't going to do it.
I don't want to hear about Luka and how hurt Luka is. He had 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. He was efficient last night. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it because I'm going to spend the next 3 days. And why am I waiting 3 days for Game 3? Like, why? Give me a Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Give me something.
It's like they have to travel by carriage or something. They're in a plane. They're there the next day. What are we waiting for?
I don't want to spend the next 3 days hearing about his knee, hearing about his shoulder, hearing about his elbow. He's out there. He's playing 40-plus minutes. His teammates are giving him nothing. I am so tired of hearing about how injured Luka is.
All
And
right.
by the way, play some defense. Close out on somebody. Close out on anybody.
Okay, let me tackle a couple of things here. First of all, the Dallas Mavericks are the first team since the 2010 Lakers to beat 3 50-win teams to get to this. I'd prefer to see Denver playing against the Celtics. The Celtics' gift is that they have the best starting lineup in the league, but I think Denver is right there with them on starting lineup. And so you haven't even seen the Derek White game yet. It is very possible, weirdly, that the Celtics could win the championship by blowout without Tatum doing much of anything that makes you remember what he did in the finals. He will have plenty of time to be an all-time great. It is possible that this series will not help him there. The Celtics, Stugotz, I don't know if you know this, but this was fairly stunning to me. The Celtics, outside of the Heat from 2010 or 2013, both of those Heat teams in the East were favored. the Celtics are favored. You will find no other favorite in the East since Michael Jordan. Since Michael Jordan, the West is always favored. And this Celtics team has been, this entire season, crushing everybody and should be remembered as an all-time great team if they win this championship over the Mavs.
Well, what was the stat that you said that they beat 350 win teams to get here?
That since 2010 Lakers, they're the first team to win 350 win teams. They beat 350 win teams.
Indiana wasn't a 50-win team.
No, the Mavs.
Oh, the Mavs.
Oh,
the Mavs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That had never happened before, but that hadn't happened in the last 15 years.
How did they do that? I'm asking as someone that's just like watched the majority of this stuff on mute because I'm watching this Dallas team, right? And I'm this is a sincere question. How did they do that? Because
since the trade deadline, they were the best defensive team in the league, and they were playing championship good basketball since trading for Washington at the trade deadline.
Right, because they're playing Derrick Jones Jr. 40 minutes a game.
To Billy's point, defense wins championships. I mean,
but wouldn't they be better in this series? Like I'm watching this series, and I see Luka, who can't even depend on Kyrie to dribble anymore. Like if there's one thing you know Kyrie would give you, it's dribbling or maybe free throws, and he's not even doing that. Kyrie's been a disaster.
But there's your answer, Mike.
But I'm watching
You're asking how they did it. Kyrie played a lot better than he's playing right now. P.J. Washington played a lot better than he's playing right now.
This Dallas Mavericks team right now gives off 2007 Cavs vibes. Like, that is not a good-looking basketball team.
Okay, this is 2 games, and this happens a lot in series in the first 2 games. Kyrie Irving, since stepping on the Leprechaun, is 0-12 against the Celtics. He's lost all of the games, and he was terrible in this series. And the answer to your question is, you get Luka's 30 and you get Kyrie's 30, and that's how they win games. Kyrie has been absent this series.
Are you saying the Celtics merely held serve?
That's all they did.
Yeah.
And Kyrie hasn't made a 3 in the series, and nobody but Luka did anything in yesterday's game. But let's examine something for a second, because I'm legitimately torn on what it is that I'm telling you, Stugotz. I sound like a hater saying this is unsatisfying, but the customer needs something in terms of entertainment. You need to give me a storyline. You need to give me a close game. You need to give me somebody overcoming something. It can't just be a hodgepodge of this team is well built, so I feel like I'm watching the Pistons of Ben Wallace.
We need something. The viewers need something, but the Celtics don't need anything.
Agreed.
I mean,
But to have a championship feel only satisfying to Boston because you can't grab on to anything else that you're watching.
Right.
Missoula's not improving his reputation in this series. No one is saying, wow, they're well coached, even though they play very well together. They've just perfected the way basketball is played right now. Basketball is played all along the three-point line. They defend it better than anybody, and they shoot it better than anybody. But that wasn't evidence of that yesterday. Yesterday, the Boston Celtics played one of their worst games of the season. When they played that game in the playoffs, they're like I think this season, when they played that game, they're 1-4 or something.
But Dan, when you say they've perfected how to play basketball right now, doesn't the coach get some credit for that? Some?
Do you think Missoula has improved his reputation with anybody who listens to these press conferences and thinks he's Looney Tunes?
I mean, he's about to have a ring on his finger.
I'm asking you
as a head coach.
I'm asking you the question.
So did Mike Budenholzer.
Nick Nurse has one of those.
And I rate Nick Nurse, but it's.
I mean,
you said that they perfected it, and all my prism of a hater is like, I'd like to actually have proof that they're perfecting it against really, really good teams throughout this run. They're not being tested, and it's one thing if these teams that they're playing have a healthy superstar, if Halliburton's healthy, if Jimmy Butler is healthy, if Donovan Mitchell is healthy, I still think that they go through pretty easily, but I'm not getting these individual moments. It doesn't seem hard for the Boston Celtics, and that's a team that the mental stuff was a big block, I thought, for this Boston Celtics team. And to have the fortuitous route to not really have someone test the mental aspects of the game is kind of a bummer.
I will say again, Stugotz, I told you a couple of weeks ago that the highest seed that the Celtics will have beaten will be the Cavs in order to win the championship. Mike Ryan, because he hasn't been watching the West or playoff basketball this season, just did something to Dallas that is wholly unfair. The West was great this year, and Dallas was great, and Kyrie Irving and Luka were great in knocking off the people that they knocked off because what they did, basically, and you ask how they did it, they savaged young teams.
Yeah, no, I was on them to beat Minnesota. I said Minnesota can't guard those two offensive players.
They did the same thing to OKC, though.
Yeah, but OKC, we knew that they were younger, right? And that they have to suffer. I really wanted to see Denver in this spot. And I think, even though, as you mentioned, the path of 50-win teams, Luka has been unbelievable there. I think if you would ask any Celtics fan, if I give you the Nuggets, Timberwolves, or Mavericks, what's a team out of that group that you want to see in the NBA Finals, they would pick the Dallas Mavericks, and I don't think it'd be particularly close.
That is correct. I will just tell you that since the trading deadline, Dallas was as good as Minnesota and as good as Denver.
I understand what you're saying, LeBron. Like, you get to the finals and you got to be tested. LeBron was tested. He lost to Dallas the first year. They came back with the Heat. They won it 2 years in a row. Michael was even tested with Clyde Drexler, with Karl Malone, with Barkley. This team is really good. It's not Jason Tatum's fault that they're not getting tested. The team is just really good, and they played lousy opponents leading into the NBA Finals.
So let me ask you this part, though, right? Because you will not give Kevin Durant any titles in your personal record book because it was too easy for him. Weirdly, the Miami Heat of LeBron James, when they came out on stage and did the parade before they started all of that, people hated that team right off the top because they're like, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's too easy. And then what happened? LeBron struggled, and we're like, oh, legacy forever. I saw how hard it was. I saw him tested. I saw him overcome. I saw him taken to the brink. I asked this question sincerely because I have not decided how I can talk about this without sounding like a hater. But if it's so easy throughout history, usually what I say, when the Warriors make it look easy, I'm like, holy, that's one of the best teams I've ever seen. I will not say this about the Celtics, and I'm not sure I'm being fair because half of their games this season, Stugotz, they led by 20 points, half of their games. And I don't believe I'm alone in this. As watching this as a customer, I want to be entertained. It's not simply, do you win? It's, do you win, and are you going to give me something to remember, some sort of greatness? Michael Jordan's going to go off for 50. It's not going to be Drew Holiday.
There's just a little something off with this Celtics team. Is that what you're saying?
No,
they're 2 games from winning the title.
No, sounds like that's what you're saying.
I'm not.
What is happening?
Wait a minute. What's off with them? They've only lost twice this season. I'm not saying they're off. I'm not saying it's off. They are crushing everybody. I'm finding it unsatisfying, and I'm diminishing them in real time because I want to see close games. I want to see them really struggle. I want to see a decision made at the end of the game where Brown or Tatum have to decide, oh, what about what Jason Kidd said, that Jaylen Brown is the best player on this team? Like, I want to watch.
You might still get it.
I may still get it, but I haven't gotten
Series hasn't started yet.
Right.
The playoffs haven't started for
Yeah. It is a bummer. We are applying real-time context that I think will be forgotten in like a year, especially if they raise that banner. Like no one's going to be like, well, the only time history's ever looked back on a champion and been like injuries was probably the Raptors.
Nope. I will say, Mike.
And the bubble.
I will say, Mike, we won't remember any of it for teams. We absolutely will for players. For teams?
That's fair.
No, you don't have to apologize for winning the championship. But you did this to Steph Curry a couple of seasons ago where you're like, I need to see it in the finals. And
then we saw it.
Yeah. But, I mean, the Tatum thing isn't even fun. Like, it's not even a debate.
But
right
if he has a game or a moment and they win the championship, you're just going to look back and be like, yeah, he had a great series. No one's going to go game by game.
Yeah, you're probably right.
A moment.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Mike gave me an idea for ESPN's postgame. It should be First Take. Give me Stephen A. and Mad Dog right after the game. Are you kidding me? I'll be glued all night.
Let me put it another way here, Stugotz, to frame it so that you understand how different what we're watching is through only 2 games. LeBron in the finals against Dallas when he lost to Dirk, numerically,
right,
was doing what Tatum is doing, where Tatum goes 6 for 16, 6 for 22 in those finals.
Right. I mean, he had J.J. Barea on him.
Appropriate historical context there. There's only so much you can do.
Thank you.
The idea, though, that and it's 2 games, that the numbers are similar, but the teammates are carrying you around, and all you're doing is 6 for 16 and 6 for 22. LeBron did have that stinker in there where he had a 3 for 11 for 8 points. It was one of the few times you've ever seen. That might be, has he ever gone single digits? I think he had some sort of record for double-digit games, consecutive double-digit games. Seeing LeBron go 8 points in the finals was something that we hadn't seen.
I recently got the perspective of someone that wasn't from South Florida, and history apparently remembers that NBA Finals as Dallas running away with that series. When it happened to us, and that shot from Wade goes off the back of the full court attempt goes off the back of the iron, I'm like, how did we lose? We were shadow boxing in Game 2. We had a big lead in Game 3. We missed free throws. The Game 4 was there to be had. How did this happen?
All right, go ahead and put in the picture-in-picture right here on the screen. Go ahead and just put the hater box up for us so that we can have video accompaniment to what it is that we're doing in the first bit of this show, because we are now desecrating what has been a conquering champion.
Well, speak for yourself. I'm not doing anything. I'm celebrating this champion. They're a great team.
You've been pretty consistent, which is weird because you have like these weird you have bones to pick with specific players. Like you want to see players do that, but you've decided, because you've always been a Tatum guy, that you're not going to do it, even though you've always compared him to Durant, who you never hesitate to take a shot at. So I'm a little confused at your general approach on this, but if I'm a Boston Celtics fan, I'm enjoying what I'm hearing out of this show, which is the haters literally have nothing. They're openly lamenting that they don't even have the opportunity to hate. Like, Boston, credit to them. You play who's in front of you. They're mowing through this.
We're not hating, but we're not giving full credit.
Right.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'm so mad that
you
I
haven't
don't
impressed me.
I'm so mad that I don't get to really hate.
Do it my way.
You've broken me so much. You even went through my team.
Right.
Granted, there's no Jimmy Butler, and 22 would look good in purple and gold.
I can tell you what I'm doing here. Al Horford.
That's right.
That's what I'm doing here. I mean, I want my guy to get a ring, and he is 2 games away from hoisting the Larry O'Brien and solidifying himself as a Hall of Famer.
I don't think.
How about that?
I don't think it's just Al Horford.
Playing for everything.
I also think your hatred of Kyrie Irving is pretty strong as well.
How's he doing, by the way?
Did you see Horford? He was asked about Jason Kidd's comments on Jaylen Brown's their best player. Horford didn't add anything else other than, I know what Jason's trying to do there. And they asked Drew Holiday immediately after a really good performance, and Drew immediately takes it to what Jason Tatum is doing. It seems as though, and I say what you will about how weird Missoula is, it seems as though they have a pretty good grasp on what makes that locker room tick, and making sure that Jason Tatum feels appreciated for what he is giving them seems to be atop the priority list.
2-time NCAA champion, 5-time All-Star, and an NBA champion. That gets you into that Hall of Fame. I mean, it does, right? It has to.
He's one of the greatest Dominicans ever.
That Hall of Fame.
That's not saying very much.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this part is splitting hairs, I suppose. But if you do indeed consider the defensive side of the ball, Jaylen Brown's a better complete player than Jason Tatum is. He's better defensively. But if you want to split hairs on the ego of whose team it is and who's better, I suppose Jason Kidd can throw that out there. But I enjoyed Jason Tatum's response. This isn't our first rodeo, and I want to know how that started as an expression. Like, why are we referencing the rodeo so much? I don't think of the rodeo in any other way except when somebody says, this isn't my first rodeo. Is the first rodeo for the riding of the bull? Like, why is that an expression that has caught on, and it's only the rodeo that gets the distinction of I'm a veteran here? Because Tatum's response to what Jason Kidd did, and by the way, it's hugely funny to me to watch Jason Kidd coaching in the finals when his big coaching move that I remember is spilling a soda purposely on the court one time when he didn't have any timeouts. That's what I think of when I think of the genius of Jason Kidd. to now see him just try to upset the Celtics locker room with the high school trick of Jaylen Brown is the best player that
all
the
he's got
Celtics
left.
have. Well, this the only time you need that as a coaching move is late in the game when Tatum's got the ball and he wants to be the one shooting one of those fadeaway threes to win the game.
It does give credence to what people who really follow the Celtics closely, and I say this just as someone that's in a group chat with Mike Schur, like what Jason Kidd is trying to do there is trying to make Jason Tatum feel the pressure of, wait, you're in all the commercials, you have to be the guy. He wants Jason Tatum to be shooting those shots to break up this incredible rhythm. So if you're like an assist guy, with Tatum, you could say he's quarterbacking the offense and setting guys up, or you can take the hater approaches, here, you score it. And I think it's probably the former rather than the latter.
A Forbes article did a search to find the origins of the expression "ain't my first rodeo," and they're saying the 1981 movie Mommy Dearest. It is Faye Dunaway says it in that movie. That's the first existence.
Chris, are you also targeted on the IG ads for the hat that says, actually, this is my first rodeo?
Yep.
A 1981 movie is
got to go back further.
Start.
I mean,
it has to go back further than that. I don't know how old in general the rodeo is. It's a stupid idea.
I mean, the first time I said it was in the late 70s.
This Forbes article says, since I'm interested in the origins of the phrase, I spent some time trying to figure out where the rodeo expression came from. The earliest instance I could find, 1981 movie.
I'm actually surprised Mommy Dearest is from 1981. I thought that movie was far older.
Good point.
Did you guys see that Jaylen Brown, because he says he has no family and is single, that all he's doing with his spare time is watching Harry Potter? I don't know what I was doing, but that's not what I had him doing with his spare time. Did anyone have that as what it is Jaylen Brown was doing between games, just mass-consuming Harry Potter? Can you guys get for me just a montage? I want the audience to absorb Joe Mazzulla because I think all of us are a little confused by him generally. I'm not sure that the Celtics would tell you this is all in the vein of Red Auerbach. This feels like Bill Belichick. Here's just an assortment of random press conference sound from Mazzulla.
A non-basketball question. Did you get a chance to meet with the royal family? And if not, how was it like having them there in the building?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph?
The Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh, no, I did not. I'm only familiar with one royal family. I don't know too much about that one. And so you end up thinking, like, you just don't know. Like, and I think, like, people don't say that enough. Like, what if we would have got the 1 seed and lost to the 8 seed? Like, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here right now. So, like, thank you, God, for, like, protecting us from the 1 seed.
Coach, I hate to tell you, but you did lose to the 8 seed.
I meant as the 1 seed in the first round.
No.
Rightly or wrongly, Kyrie is going to be perceived as a villain in the series.
Aren't we all? In someone's eyes.
Pardon me?
We're all villains in someone's eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm seeing the same thing I saw last year. I'm seeing the same thing I saw when I first coached him in summer league. People, a white shooter that most people think he can't play defense. So yeah, I said it.
Do you guys think that his reputation has been improved?
Yeah.
He was going to be fired. Like, we thought he was going to be fired when they lost to the Miami Heat last year.
Yeah, all this stuff becomes myth. And then he becomes like an eccentric genius. He was asked a question yesterday about Drew Holiday, and then he rattled off kind of like Rain Man-esque, like a sequence of events that happened. It was just an incredible attention to detail. Yeah, we'll mythologize this after he wins a title.
Right. Imagine he says all the same things, but now he has a ring on his finger. I mean, right.
Yeah, but I didn't see what that was as anything other than gibberish. All he said is 26 points in the first quarter, 25 points in all the other quarters. We had a foul up at the end of a 2-1 situation at the end of the first quarter, and we ended up, fouling Washington.
But that's what Mike is saying. Mike is saying now it's gibberish, but after he wins this round, we'll look back, it's genius.
Yeah,
right.
crazy.
Yeah,
He becomes like Mike Leach with a championship glow around him. I got to be honest with the audience and the people tuning in from Boston. Like, this would actually be harmful to my mental health were not for the Panthers' distraction. The only possible way I can actually cope with the Boston Celtics winning a title is if immediately I get to chase it with a Stanley Cup.
We're going to get to the Panthers stuff in a second. But Stugotz, your general appraisal of everything that we're watching, you don't find it unsatisfying? You don't find it unsatisfying to not see the Celtics tested by anybody, having them taken to 6 games, having some pressure put on somebody? Like, you love pressure. You love the,
I know.
I don't know what you're doing where
Al
Kevin...
Horford, I told you.
Yeah, but that's it. Like
I love him more than I love pressure. I mean, I do. Yeah. The guy's always been good to this show. He loves you. I've had conversations with him. Al's just a good guy. He is. He's been on twice. I mean,
for a dude that is, I mean, his entire career is just littered with inconsistencies. He's been true on the Al Horford front.
thank you.
That is true. I don't think Al had very much to do with what it is that happened last night.
What?
I don't think Al.
He's been good to Dan.
It's like saying UD had nothing to do with the success of the
Right.
Heat. I
I
mean,
mean,
you have
what are
that
you
person
talking
there.
about? Yes.
You ingrain the culture into the team. You get everybody buying in.
Right.
Sometimes people's contributions aren't that they don't show up in the box score.
That's
you know what
right,
I mean?
Dan. You got to watch the game. I'm not saying you didn't watch the game, but you got to watch the game. Countless screens. I mean, just hustle plays, diving out of bounds. I mean, the guy's great. Give him some credits. I mean, Porzingis is out now. Phil's in. They don't miss a beat.
Yeah, he got hurt, right? Porzingis?
Yeah, late in the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Dan. I mean, if Porzingis is hurt, we might have a series again.
You can just say that on any given night and have a chance of being right with Porzingis.
he really matters to them.
Yeah.
Though.
Yes. No, you've been bang on about the Celtics. My feeble argument back is, well, Halliburton's hurt. Like, I feel like a loser. This sucks.
The Pacers,
this is not great.
The Pacers had 3 games in the series against the Celtics with a 90% win probability when Porzingis was out. Like, if he's actually hurt, Dallas can do something. And please, somebody test these Celtics. Somebody
do something.
A tweeter writes in correctly, who had Stugotz being the most rational and reasonable analyst on all of the NBA Finals?
Thank you.
You are welcome, Stugotz. I don't think any of us had that. I wanted to ask you guys something. There have been a couple of times recently that I have been unreasonably enraged by something that is totally silly. One of them is Mike Ryan accusing me of not watching a playoff game I had watched on television because he thought my analysis was so bad.
It's why I took mine back so quickly. I mean,
the other time was, and I want to ask you guys this because it's never happened to me, and I can't believe that I got to 55 years old living in Miami all my life without it happening to me. This happened to me in Los Angeles, and it really legitimately enraged me. So I'm in the middle lane at a stoplight, and I've made a mistake, and I've got to get over and make a right. There is one car behind me. I'm not cutting anybody. There is one car behind the person to my right that I'm asking for permission at the stoplight.
The old, can I get in?
Can I get in here? And the person said no.
Huh.
And I'm like, and said no, and then moved up, and
The worst.
But it's not. I'm promising you, I'm not cutting in the line.
I ain't cheating.
I'm that's right. I'm not
You're
cheating.
asking.
I've
Right,
made a mistake, and I'm really just asking as politely as possible for a little courtesy, a little permission. And I just felt like I felt legitimately hurt by a stranger.
You got cheaters never prospered.
Now, how do you do this? Do you start leaning the car into the lane? Do you roll down your window?
Yes.
How does this work for you? I mean,
So Valerie's in the passenger side, and I'm just trying to get their attention by leaning in a little diagonally and just sort of waving and politely asking.
Prayer hands? Maybe a little one prayer hand, please?
Wait, did you start to move the car before you made because that could be a little like if a car's moving
That's
in
what I'm saying. That's
before
why
the
I asked.
ask is made,
Yes.
then I'm like, get
Right.
out.
You got to do it
Right.
simultaneously.
right.
You guys have said no to somebody who is just.
I'm a yes
No,
guy. I always
no.
let people.
You don't just start moving your car into the person's lane. You got to get the nod first.
Yeah.
then
Greg
you start
Cody would
moving
say
the
no to
car.
you.
Is this a
Right.
freeway?
No, it's
No,
no,
because freeway, I'll put my foot down. But like regular traffic, no, you go right ahead.
Are you literally putting your foot down?
Well, because you have those exits where it's a merge, like the merge lane started a mile back. We're all single file, and you'll have these people that no matter what will buzz to the front of it, and they get rewarded.
I know you guys were going to accuse me of that. It's why I told you. I set forth the specifics of there's only one car behind me, so I can't back up. I want to just back up. I don't want to cut anybody, but I can't. And I found myself for about 10 minutes wondering how I had let a stranger hurt me. Somebody that the denial felt like something that stayed with me.
What kind of car was it?
I don't remember.
Well, what kind of car were you in?
The rental car.
Did you have a place to be?
I wasn't in any big hurry. No.
You should have fender bendered them.
What? Oh, wow.
You should have bumped them.
With a rental?
Said, you know what?
With a rental car.
Yeah, of course. You
Who
sign
cares?
off. You get the
Right.
insurance, not your car. You paid for the insurance.
I don't do
$5.
that. I don't do
the
that.
when I
insurance.
picked
Everyone
it up.
says
I
it's a
mean,
scam.
I
You
mean,
intentionally
Right.
bump
Cares
into
about
them and be like,
car.
well, we could have avoided this. I guess we're going to be here 2 hours together now. Let's be friends.
So as spite, let's be friends.
Yeah.
You think friendship is going
spite
to blossom
car
from there?
Yeah.
You think
Billy's the
Just
last
bump 'em.
person
Boop.
that would ever
Whoops,
do that.
sorry. Oh, did you have someplace to go? You should have let me in.
I did not move aggressively in front of this person. I did go a little diagonal and I was presuming, because every time in my life that I've ever asked for that particular permission, it has been granted. I have had a permission privilege in this regard, and I had not seen my blind spot because I had not even considered the idea that somebody would say no to me under those circumstances. And then I invented an entire tale of misery that must be going on in that person's life, that they need the power
That's
over me.
unfair.
Well,
I
but
mean, you don't know that.
I don't know that, but I feel like I could assume, what kind of misery are you that you're somebody who does not like to give or help to others?
That's why you hit them, then you find out.
There's something about being in a car. It just turns you into a different person. Like in a grocery store, shopping carts, go right ahead. But a car, get the out of here. It's just, I don't know. There's some.
Well, it's
turns me-
face-to-face interaction in a grocery store, and you're protected by the car.
Maybe
on the
that's
highway.
it.
Yes.
It's where I'm at my worst. I often say to myself, like, who am I right now? Why am I so angry? Why am I not letting this guy in?
Do you guys realize, though, that what happened, because she wouldn't let me in, we were at a stoplight. It was still a stoplight. So now she's got to sit there with me just staring at her, being like, really?
That's what she wants.
I know, but she's not looking at me. She's only giving
the
me
worst.
the
It's like-
side of her face, and she's catching the heat of my withering judgment on the side of her face. She will not dare make eye contact with me because I'm genuinely miffed.
She feels the heat. She laughs at your heat.
No, but that's in the spot that Dan's in. You don't want to give off, I'm bothered by this. So what I do in that spot is you like smile at her. It's like, I don't want you to know that you've bothered me, so I'm going to like smile at you, even though I couldn't be more livid.
Now imagine that discomfort for 2 hours while you wait for the police to sort things out on something completely inconsequential.
Feel good about this? Yeah, you're just like heckling them. Like, is this what you wanted? You got an accident.
They don't make cars the way they used to, because like back in the day, you could just bump cars. It wasn't a big deal, right? Like the fender wouldn't fall off, the airbags wouldn't go off. Like you were fine. You could just keep going. I remember like vividly as a child, like if like my aunt or someone was like in the car behind us, they just like kind of slowly go and bump the car. And you like turn around, you're like, what just happened right now? Yeah, it's a little love tap, a little kiss. In the DR, I went to the DR and they have like cages around some of the cars, and like there's no lines drawn on the expressway. So it's basically like, this expressway is as wide as many cars as you can fit here at any given time, right? And like our taxi driver who had like one of the cages was like, watch this, and would bump other cars just to make us laugh. And it's like, I don't think this is a good idea, but it was fun.
Everyone's done the fender bender move. When you get in one, you get out, they get out, you say, I'm good. You good? See you later.
Yeah, I've done
right?
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No marks. You're just like, all right.
I don't wait for the answer. I just get in my
Or
car
down
and I
here,
drive
they
away.
speed away.
I mean,
Someone did that to me, strong-armed me. I had like a white Honda Civic at the time, 1996, if you were wondering. And this red car like bumped me like on the expressway. And then the guy came out. He's like, no, it's fine. It's just a little bit of pain. It's fine. And then he like left. And then I was like, okay, because I was on my way to school. I had a place to be. I was like, I guess. And then I got home, and it's like, the whole back of my car is red. What am I supposed to do about this?
That's happened to me twice. They speed away.
Yeah,
They're not
they
insured.
convince you.
They're not insured.
Well, I've had other times where they like flat out tell me like, I have a situation going on with my insurance. Like I can just pay you cash, and it's like I'm very uncomfortable right now. What am I supposed to do? Am I going to send someone to jail? Like, am I going to have the cops get involved here and there's no insurance and I'm just going to take cash and we're going to guesstimate how much this is going to cost me to fix? Like, I don't like it at all.
Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is the Dominican Republic the wild, wild west for traffic?
That's leading. That's leading the witness. It's fun. Like, it's a fun. It's like a wild, wild west themed water slide.
Billy, it's not fun. The only time I've ever experienced this was my first time in New York. I couldn't believe it was real. Cabs bump each other all the time.
They don't care.
They don't care,
Right.
and the streets are so crowded. I'm like, wait a minute, this is normal. They wouldn't even get out of the car. It would just be like waving at each other.
Keep it moving. Yeah, that's it.
Just tap each other and keep it moving. But the Dominican Republic for traffic it's a special kind of reckless. Another thing I noticed.
So is L.A., by the way. I mean,
not like the Dominican Republic.
No, because we're so vain here that if there's like a little scratch or like a little ding in your car, you're like, oh my God, I need to go get this fixed. There, it's like seriously like roll cages around the cars, like boom, just like with bumper cars. It's fun.
But Miami
Put your seatbelt on, though.
Is
Just be
where
safe.
you're most likely to get somebody who doesn't have insurance getting out of the car and just offering you cash.
Or if you can get them out of the car, that's
Right.
an achievement in itself.
Yes.
Because then you can ID them. No, it's quantifiable. Like we lead the country in uninsured drivers.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Does Miami lead the country or any country in uninsured drivers? Something else that I noticed in Los Angeles, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Kelsey Grammer is making his return in Frasier.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I think it's a couple
happened
seasons
already.
in.
I can't believe that that's so. That what else has he done since Frasier? Did he do Expendables? He did Expendables, and has he done anything else?
He was Beast in the X-Men movies.
So you guys aren't surprised. I was learning for the first time on billboards out there that Kelsey Grammer and Frasier is still a thing.
I am surprised in that it got renewed for other seasons. I was aware that this was a thing.
I mean, it was a great show. I don't know if the return of it is great.
CBS or
Paramount, yeah. I don't.
Not surprising.
No, that's true. It's not. I'm just a bit surprised that we can reprise all of that, and I guess you don't need very much. You just got to bring Kelsey Grammer back from. Doesn't he? He's got some ugly stuff in his past, does he not? Because he's making. I don't know whether it's a divorce or something. Like I was just surprised to see any of it while I was, through my glistening rage at a driver there.
Is that why you didn't pull into the lane in time? You were just distracted by the Frasier billboard?
That's right.
Well, really? Frasier Crane is back. What's going on with his life?
He's sitting there. He's got to make a right. He doesn't realize he's in the middle lane. He's looking at a billboard. He can't believe the guy is still doing it.
Babe, they're bringing Frasier back.
Did you guys enjoy, I know you had this to yourselves last week, a race, gender, culture war take place over a single foul in a women's basketball game?
Dan, if you thought that was bad, just wait till the news cycle catches up to her not making the Olympic roster.
Well, I saw a whole lot of people yesterday who were very expert. A lot of people, I thought to myself last week when I heard some of the commentary, this would be a good spot for some of the men to just quiet down and listen. That's not the way we do business in the sports gas bag business, but I thought last week would have been a good chance for all of us to just sit around and listen. But now Caitlin Clark is quote-unquote snubbed, not the only one snubbed, on a totally loaded U.S. Olympic team. And the question I want to ask all of you is, can Caitlin Clark do what Joel Embiid has done to make it on Team USA and just play for somebody else? Can she,
I can find an Italian grandparent.
Yeah, I don't know what
if she beat the United States, I'm not certain that helps her cause.
Does Ireland have a team? Does she have some Irish in her? Can she do this? I'm asking, is she capable of playing for somebody else?
Well, when this happened, I immediately texted Lucy, like probably 300 people in her life. So I kind of felt bad after that. But I had very naive questions. I'm like, can't she do what Cameron Brink is doing? Play on the 3-on-3. And then Lucy, sweet Lucy, said, I'm actually excited that she gets a break. And it was a point that I hadn't really considered. Because, yeah, she could use a break. all of this is happening very fast. It's a high-intensity treadmill that she hasn't been able to get off of.
I know. That part was weird, that she got like 7 days off, and then all of a sudden she goes from grand heroism to we're counting her turnovers in the first game.
And also, as someone that doesn't really follow the WNBA, I was also like, well, she should make the Olympic roster. And then I saw the roster. I'm like, oh, those are good names. I've heard of all of them.
Yep.
Probably a good call there.
Does Ireland have a team? I don't believe that you can be a champion in sports if your name is Stewart. If you're Stuart Skinner and you have that mustache, I don't believe that you can win the championship. Who are the greatest of the sports Stewarts?
Sink.
Tony Stewart.
Payne Stewart.
Surnames don't count.
That is correct. It's STU, like Stugotz. I don't believe that you can be imposing and a menace of athletic excellence if your name is Stewart.
Or if it's just Stu. So you have Stu Grimson.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Can you be athletically great if your name is Stewart?
Stuart Scott.
Good basketball player.
Yeah.
What?
Stuart Scott played. He was a good basketball player when he was in ESPN.
He tried out for the Jets too.
Wait a minute. I don't know that this is true. And when he tried out for the Jets, he got hit in the face with the ball and had to stop the
too
tryout.
soon,
No,
man.
that-
Good athlete.
Could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
It
Don't
could
shame him.
It could happen to anyone, but I'm simply saying I don't know if he was good at basketball or not. I don't remember Stuart Scott as being athletically excellent. I'm not saying he isn't. I just don't remember it.
Let's not get bogged down. His name is Stewart.
Yes.
That's all that really matters. But I don't think it proves your point. I think it proves my point.
He was on UNC's club football team.
Pretty sure Stewart Sink proved your point when that was like the first name that came out.
That's the best that you can do.
Stuart Randall Johnson. Randy Johnson.
Even he knew. He's like, I got to go by Randy. And there aren't many Randys either.
It's not his real name, but it could have been.
Drake bet $500,000.
Billy, man, like, help. Please, I'm just asking you to help.
Just made it up.
Just asking you to help us out.
I mean, he just.
I got to Google the roll cages in the DR at this point.
That's real.
Juju said to me last week that he was surprised at how helpful Billy generally was when he was trying to do something other than be an agent of chaos. He didn't know that you had it in the toolbox. He didn't think that you could do anything else. When you get down to analyzing the Panthers and the Oilers, you guys correct me on this because Paul Maurice was asked some form of you can't have Barkhoff always on the ice when McDavid is on the ice, and he's like, the hell I can't. You just watch me. You just watch me get Barkhoff out there every time McDavid's out
The
there.
last change, home ice. Let's do it.
Well, Barkov and Reinhardt logged some defenseman-type numbers as far as time on the ice. They both played over 20 minutes last night.
Yeah, and Tkachuk only logged 13 minutes in Game 1, and there's a couple of theories for that. Evander Kane got a good shot on him. Evander Kane had two instances that were way worse than what Sam Bennett did to Brad Marchand. You won't hear about it because I guess we're not from Boston.
Well,
or
let's show them. Let's show the Evander Kane. Evander Kane. He's got this history. He does things like this.
Oh yeah, so that's the one on Chucky. Right in front of the official, just drive by, punch in the face.
Chucky really
He
sold
sold
it.
it as a line.
Yeah, Chucky sold
really
that.
sold it.
But I will say,
Sold
Chucky
it.
only spent 13 minutes on the ice in that game. Maybe this had something to do with it. I actually thought the Sam Bennett one was worse. And Sam Bennett, both Chucky and Sam Bennett are these guys that have this reputation. Certainly Evander Kane is. Check out this one. I didn't see this during the broadcast. That Evander Kane shot right in Sam Bennett's face. Again, Sam Bennett no one's going to be crying for Sam Bennett considering what he got away with, air quotes, against Boston and Brad Marchand. But
he caught him with the stick there, right? Is it not the butt of the stick?
These are pretty dirty plays. I will say, though, anytime Evander Kane is on the ice and he's not injuring your players is a good thing for Florida because Evander Kane, I know he's dealing with a sports hernia.
He's bad.
That was bad. Woo! You could say he was directly responsible for one of the goals with his refusal to back check. He's just a net negative on the ice right there. If that's all he's on the ice to do, maybe he'll eventually hurt. And depending on how you look at the ice time for Tkachuk, I know there's some speed concerns out there against Edmonton. Maybe that is the impact. Like, I'll give you 7 fewer Chucky minutes.
I mean, that's interference, let alone a high hit. That should have been called a penalty.
Both happened right in front of Stripes. And this wasn't even like the broadcast didn't mention these.
Kane was on the ice on the Bennett Rodriguez goal?
Yeah, he refused a back check. And everyone's going to blame Nurse. Because
Nurse, right through
Nurse, actually, I think it's Sam Reinhart's dad that has the worst plus-minus in Stanley Cup playoffs history, and Nurse is only like 3 behind him. Nurse's plus-minus has been a thing this entire postseason. The pairing of Cece and Nurse, you better hope that Edmonton keeps trotting them out there because it's just been terrible. But that goal that they gave up, you could put a lot of the blame on Evander Kane.
Can you guys tell me, among some of the video that we have that's broken out around Panther hockey, I don't want to get to the shirtless kid who is ruining and making better all of the sideline interviews with the opposing coaches, because that kid reminds me of Muscle Boy from the championship run of the Marlins a million years ago, because he's behind all of the coaches, distracting them while shirtless. But here we have video of Mike Ryan's wife, and Mike has told you that he's surrounded by hockey hosers in Florida. We're going to go out to Tony here to show you the energy all around South Florida around this Panther team. But Mike Ryan and his wife were at a hockey bar on late Saturday night, and Cynthia's in the background, and perhaps you can see her. This is a dream woman for every man, just shouting how much Whitty sucks at every turn, because we all want to hear our partners shouting how Whitty sucks, caught on live local television.
Talking about that party continuing, just take a look at the excitement out here today. The bar erupting in joy, of course.
That's right. Whitty sucks.
The Panthers.
What a terrible heel turn by Whitty. What a bad time for Whitty to do that.
Quarterdeck?
No, the bright side.
Hockey bar.
Oh, wow. Because you went to space the other night, I mean.
That was to celebrate the ECF.
Whitty's got to have some regret about when he decided to check out on this team.
And he should.
I tried to tell him he can come back, and he's just, he's committed at this point.
He doubled down last week. He also did the show from a shower.
Yeah, kind of.
It was fully clothed.
Yeah.
Wasn't a tub.
We had his pants off.
He's wearing a Rangers jersey.
Yeah. Is he a never nude? Is that the issue with him?
He said his pants were off, his shirt was on. I mean, I asked him to see his penis. He didn't show it.
He did, he asked.
So he couldn't confirm,
Stunning that Stugotz would show that level
Needed
of subtlety.
proof. I mean,
it's always great when Stugotz, yes, you needed proof.
Right.
And how'd that all go?
He didn't show me.
Right, you didn't get it.
Stugotz has been advised not to say anymore.
Thank you,
So the whole
Stugotz.
thing is settled.
Yeah. The other video that I wanted to show people, and you guys tell me that the shirtless Panther kid is not the kid that we should be celebrating most as a Panther fan these
I think
days?
you might be getting confused. There's a few. There's one kid that takes his shirt off when they show him. There's one kid that leaves his shirt on but just gets the crowd fired up. This is a different kid. This does not look like those two kids, but this is a fired up Panthers fan, and this was me. This was me after the game.
You're here and supporting the Panthers. What does this mean to you?
This is a monumental moment in my life. I have been here since day one of my birth, 2011, and I just can't wait to see my team happily host the Cup.
Yes. Yes.
Let's go!
Yes, Canada hates this child so much.
Limping off.
I have eyewitness reports of someone that was sitting near that kid in the stands. He was constantly telling Edmonton Oilers fans to shut up the entire game. I'm so happy for him. That kid deserves it.
Yep.
I want to hear it again.
I mean, day one.
Yes, go back for a second, and I want you guys just to watch this through the prism, okay, of Canada and somebody who's 80 years old, who's sitting here trying to understand, why is there hockey in Florida? Why does it go from Tampa to South Florida while our teams can't win anything?
Why do we have to play them?
Right, why? I want you to think of an 80-year-old man watching this punk.
Hey,
no,
relax.
I mean
this guy's a hero.
I mean it in the most loving way possible. This is through the viewpoint. This is not me talking. It's a bitter 80-year-old Canadian watching this kid and his feathered hair talk about long suffering since 14 years ago.
You're here and supporting the Panthers. What does this mean to you?
This is a monumental moment in my life. I have been here since day one of my birth, 2011, and I just can't wait to see my team happily host the Cup. Let's go!
Host the Cup!
I'm totally with you. I have some guy like in the middle of Ottawa. He lives in a cabin. It's snowy. It's icy. He only owns a TV to watch
That's
hockey.
great. There is somebody right now, 84 years old, hobbles in with a walker and tennis balls in Prince Edward Island. Is staring at a tiny television, been watching hockey on that thing since Gretzky's Oilers
In Newfoundland.
And he's like, what are they doing? They're in South Florida. Nobody there knows anything about hockey, and all they do on the broadcast. The broadcast needs to tell me one more time how far Sunrise is from Edmonton. That Stanley Cup teams have never flown this much on an off day.
It is really far. If you're an 80-year-old Oilers fan, though, I'm pretty certain you had a pretty good run of it in your lifetime. And when we talk about long-suffering fan bases, think about when the Rangers won in '94. All we heard was they haven't won a cup in 40 years. Well, I haven't won a Stanley Cup game in regulation my entire life. This franchise has been around for 30 years. I know it all feels new because they were around in the 90s, but hey, every year that turns, we grow older. We are a long-suffering fan base. We've only had one win in the Cup final prior to Game 1. So, yeah, we kind of do deserve this.
Okay, settle down. Again, the country of Canada doesn't get this far. The country, all of their teams.
Yeah, and we've heard about how they haven't won a cup since '93. Panthers came around in '94, and I will say that we had a charmed existence. We made it to the Stanley Cup final in '96, and not like Vegas, who went to the Cup final in their first year and lifted the cup, I think, in year 3 or 4 of their existence. But we thought that, okay, yeah, this is amazing. We're going to keep getting back here. And then they were perpetually 5 points out of the final playoff spot for 25 years. And last year, you did your suffering. You won the President's Trophy, and you got eliminated by Daddy over in Tampa Bay. And then you get to the Cup final, and you get dismissed in a gentlemanly fashion.
But everything you're saying is fine, and it's accurate, and it's good, but Canada's still pissed.
I understand, but it's not. But everyone's like, oh, poor Canada. Like this fan base is a long-suffering, tortured fan base down here.
You can say that, and everyone listening to that will dismiss it. But it has been 3 decades of really bad hockey. And then the last 5 years, the state of Florida, Stugotz, because it went from Tampa to Florida, makes it so that I'm now talking to you and saying the following. And I will say the sentence again because I want to get into analysis of that game and what's sustainable and what is not sustainable, because Edmonton scores on 37% of its power plays. I thought the Rangers were good at the power play. I thought Tampa was good at the power play. Edmonton on both sides is great on the power play. They have stopped the last 30 situations in which they are shorthanded. And again, Stugotz, 1 out of every 3 times they score. And furthermore, and Mike's been talking about this for a couple of years with McDavid because he is so fast. What they do on the power play looks different than anyone else in the league because they are just breaking the middle of they are shooting closer to the net than all other teams because of the pressure that they are putting on your goaltender.
They also are shooting further away from the net than anybody because this year in particular, they've realized that, Bouchard has a shot that really no one else has. These booming shots from Bouchard that at the very least will create a big juicy rebound for Zach Hyman to put away, and it's in part why Zach Hyman became a 50-goal scorer. It's an embarrassment of riches on their power play unit, and you saw the speed. Florida doesn't concede many breakaways. They conceded 2. I will venture to say, I think that scouting department for Edmonton let them down a little bit, because if you're going to get a breakaway on Bob, you do not go low glove. Everybody shows low glove. We've seen it. We've seen bottom 6 forwards in this postseason.
Don't tell them. Billy didn't want to tell them. Don't tell them to go high on Bob.
Knows.
Don't
like,
tell
I'm
them.
telling you, their coaches are telling them. It's not that easy.
Yeah, McDavid fielded 2 questions. McDavid fielded 2 questions from Canadian press, like, why aren't you going high on Bob? Everyone knows that. I'm like, shut up, please. He doesn't need your help.
Well, it's because the Panthers are able to back check and force these shooters to, at the last minute, take a shot, and it's usually low.
Yeah, but you got to show glove and turn that around and dig to the other side. I mean, Bob hasn't stopped a single breakaway when someone shows glove and then pulls it the other side this entire postseason. And Henrique and Nugent Hopkins just decided, well, we're just going to play into this guy's strengths.
Did anyone ask McDavid about Greg Cody, Roy?
No.
I
was there.
I
I
thought
tried.
you were doing that.
I tried. I had bad positioning, and there was a person from Young Hollywood or whatever blog that was that asked him 4 questions, and spaced out everybody from Canada. Like it was ridiculous. And it was something like, how Hollywood are you? Was one of the questions that she asked him. I'm like,
And
what the hell are you doing?
How Hollywood is he?
He said he was not that Hollywood.
I appreciate it. I mean, McDavid is a bit of a stoic, and he's been criticized by some and being like, you're clearly the best player in the league. Do you want this or not? I've done deep dives on the Edmonton Oilers because a week went in between games. He was a child prodigy. At the age of 5, he wrote a 15-year-old Sidney Crosby a letter on how Sidney Crosby deals with the pressure of being a prodigy. This guy was born for this, but I do think he gives thoughtful answers. And I'm really curious to know how you experience Game 1 because you're always like, well, this isn't sustainable, guy. And Game 1 was a fascinating game to dive into. Connor McDavid said, well, the puck gods weren't on our side the way that they were in Game 6 because they actually made it to the Stanley Cup with a very similar effort.
A number of things that swept over me, Stugotz, because I've told you at every turn here, okay? Because, and this is weird for me, it does not happen very often, but all the grandfathered in history of what it is to see that uniform play hockey makes it so that I'm scared of Tampa, and I'm scared of Boston, and I'm scared of the Rangers. And I'm scared of hockey happening to these teams because it just got to the last 2 years where I understand what it's like to have the hot goalie. Mm-hmm. It's Van Beesbrook and it's Bobrovsky, and Bobrovsky at the start of last playoffs, we were benching him.
No, we didn't bench him. They
benched him. Everybody benched him.
You're the coach now?
Everybody benched him. We benched him. They benched him. Everybody benched him, and now they've got the hot goalie. Because of what I'm bringing into what the Stanley Cup final tends to feel like, because they were swept against Colorado a million years ago, and that Vegas series from the beginning was over. Like that did not feel dramatic and tense. It felt like Vegas was going to drag them. One of the great stories in South Florida sports history. But what I take into that game, and I don't know if you guys felt this, the first minute of the game, they were sloppy around their own goal. Like for the first minute, I'm watching.
They had forgotten how to skate.
Bob's like flailing all over the place.
I'm like, did the ice get us? What's happening?
The first minute of that game, I'm expecting the puck to accidentally end up in the net because somebody's made a disastrous mistake because I don't understand what's happening with a very disciplined team. I spent the rest of the game after the first minute, even when they were leading, because of how the game was played, being like, they're going to allow goals. He can't keep stopping what's happening. Why is Bob behind the net while the puck is shooting in front of the net?
Yeah, and also on our first goal, that was also bizarre to see. When you consider the opponents that Florida has had to get to this Stanley Cup final, they haven't really encountered teams that will try to play them. They haven't had the opportunity to counter an attack. Edmonton's speed was crazy to start.
It is
and
crazy.
Then you had the opportunity for a cross-ice pass to Carter Verhaeghe and a golden opportunity that you're going to put away, and you realize, man, the previous series were so hard. You would never get that look before. And Skinner, how did he not teleport to the other side of the net the way that Igor Shesterkin and Swayman were? This is, I think you're seeing right now in this final, and I really hope it plays out that way, is Edmonton's had a pretty blessed path here. Dallas is good. The what they did against Dallas was impressive.
Mike, you told me that Dallas was the team you were most afraid
of. Yeah,
okay.
No, but Ottinger was carrying a bit of an injury. They played a Vancouver team that was very physical, that pushed them to the brink, that probably should have won that series. That was down to their third goalie. They played an LA Kings team that also pulled their goalie. And so these teams are not the same in their path. And I'll say all that, I was really shocked at how well Edmonton played. To not come away with a goal is pretty stunning. Florida had some stats that most people gloss over in terms of hits and faceoffs won. That'll kind of skew a game like this, but the numbers really don't make sense. Even the advanced metrics there, I really don't know how that happened other than Florida's gotten quality chances and they capitalized on them in ways that they weren't all postseason long.
The funny thing about that first goal was that was all on Connor McDavid. That goal started in the defensive zone, and Alexander Barkov took the puck away and treated McDavid like a pylon. He went full sprint the other way, and McDavid couldn't even catch up to him.
That was the most impressive thing of that first goal. McDavid not being able to catch Barkov. Like,
yeah, momentum.
That is insane.
Yeah, he's huge, and that's why Paul Maurice better make sure that Barkov is on the ice every time Connor McDavid is, because yes, it was generated and McDavid's at fault, but he's a byproduct of his own blazing speed. You mentioned that they're 2 miles per hour faster. That we're seeing a matchup right now that is actually maybe preventing Matthew Tkachuk from getting on the ice because this speed is a real problem. I think it's a fascinating series. I think if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, and trust me, I've listened to every they're all saying the right things. Oh, well, that we just got goal lead there. That we're going to play a lot better. If they could play that game 100 times, Edmonton probably wins that game 90 times. But I will say Florida is not going to play that poorly. Florida played their second worst game of the postseason in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, and they found a way to win 3-0. I'm pretty encouraged.
Looking at the stats from Saturday night, the first line was out there for 12 minutes and 39 seconds. They allowed 23 shot attempts.
Not 7 or 8 minutes?
No, not 7 or 8 minutes. The entire first line on 5-on-5 were out there for 12 minutes and 39 seconds, allowed 23 shot attempts, and allowed 10 shots on net. I mean, that was against that first line against Edmonton. So, I expect Barkov and Reinhardt to be out there pretty much all night, like Maurice said. Like, you damn right he's going to be out there against that first line.
Roy, is Chucky hurt?
No, I don't think so.
Because I explained the 13 minutes of ice time for him. Is this a speed thing? Or is Paul Maurice
enough with the speed?
No, it's a lineup thing.
Seriously, enough with the speed. 2 seconds faster. I mean, they're down 1-0 to nothing. They didn't score a goal. This is not speed skating. I don't need Eric Heiden out there. I don't need Anton Apollo. I need the Florida Panthers scoring goals and not giving up goals, and that's what they're doing.
Okay,
speed. They're 2 seconds faster.
Let me ask you.
You know what? They're down 1-0 to nothing. They haven't scored a goal
yet.
It's
not 2 seconds faster. It's 2 miles.
2 miles per hour.
I don't care
faster.
what they are.
Okay.
I will ask this question, and it's not
a race,
and it's not to enrage you. Did you watch the game?
I did.
Okay, because
they're fast.
The speed jumps out. I'm not used to seeing a team be that much faster than the Panthers. I'm also not used to seeing the Panthers not being able to slow anybody that they're playing against.
Well, they did, though. And that's where I think some of the stats are skewed, because it did kind of seem that once Florida got the 2-goal lead, lockdown mode.
Third period was great.
Third period. All about that third period.
And that is some context that you apply there. Florida's not a slow team. I think their speed is generally in that Dallas range.
Speed again.
It's just McDavid's unlike anybody else.
This is what you guys have to understand. I've been working with my partner here for a long time. He was just waiting for Speed to make a return appearance so he can make the Eric Heiden reference.
That was it, yeah.
It's all he
The only two I can name.
He just wanted to make a couple of speed skating jokes, and he brought it all back so that he could bring those names to you. But if you did watch the game, when it is that Mike is saying to me, how did you feel? The answer is, like I was backpedaling the entire game. I'm like, oh no, it's happening too fast.
Yeah,
it's all, there's speed skaters everywhere.
I found that people that attended the game had a different experience than those watching TV. People kind of felt like, okay, Florida's in control here. By the way, I saw a clip of how that barn erupted. I was there when Tkachuk hit the game-winning goal with seconds to spare to send them into the Stanley Cup Final last year, and I thought that would be the loudest that place would ever be. The videos that I saw after Carter Verhaeghe's goal, there was debris everywhere.
People were emptying their drinks, which doesn't happen.
There was a weird force field of debris in the air. It was unbelievable to see.
I couldn't even hear the goal horn. It was so loud in there.
I mean, we're a hockey town. We deserve this.
Well, I will say that I think that Saturday is maybe beating the Bruins in a Game 7, but I think Saturday is the best that hockey's ever made you feel, because you're at the top of the sport. You've not known what it's like to be a favorite. You know how hard
they're minus 250 right now to lift their first cup.
You know how hard it is to win that thing.
Hardest trophy in sports to win.
I left out Bonnie Blair.
Oh, no.
I just can't wait to see my team happily host the Cup.
Is he hosting it or hoisting it?
He's a young man.
Yeah.
He's a kid.
Yeah, put an I in there, yeah.
They were hosting the Cup.
Again, that was not me taking out that punk. It was an 80-year-old bitter Canadian from Prince Edward Island who is going to get
important
That
detail.
80-year-old didn't have to put all his hopes on Christopher Stieg. That guy does. Let me tell you,
Stephen Weiss.
80-year-old hoser, you don't know pain.
Or Brian Campbell.
Convincing yourself that maybe David Booth deserves a shot for Team USA.
We're going to go out to Tony in the streets.
It's raining right now.
To bring you the energy that South Florida is feeling around this cup. Juju, please put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you play for Ireland? Because I really do want to give this some consideration. If we really want to turn this into the marketing seismic mushroom cloud that it is, it would be funny with her. If everyone's going to hate her anyway because she's more popular than any of the people who came before her,
right?
If they're going to hate her anyway, why don't you just send her off somewhere else to fight against America for snubbing her?
So her mother is of Italian descent, so she may actually have an ability to play for Italy.
I don't know what the rules on any of this. I don't know how Joel Embiid can play for Team USA. It seems like he shouldn't be playing for Team USA. I don't know how any
I
of that
qualify.
happens.
I found out on
Country of
Instagram that I
immigrants.
qualify for an Italian citizenship.
Wow.
Because if you had a great grandparent born there, Italy's just handing out citizenship.
You should
Really?
play for Team Italy.
I'm gonna go there just so I can cap tie Juliet to Italy. Just broaden the horizons, give her more options.
Stugotz is mad at the New York Yankees. Do you guys know why? Because this is Stugotz only cares about baseball enough to get indignant about some of the strangest things. And the Yankees played the Dodgers this week, and they averted the sweep on the last day. And Stugotz was pissed at the Yankees because...
Dan, they were selling jerseys. They were selling bobbleheads. It's Yankees-Dodgers. It's a big rivalry. The Yankees don't need anyone's help. And this is weeks after Steinbrenner said that he is going to cut payroll, that he has to cut payroll, which is not the Yankee way. You add payroll, you don't cut payroll. This is also not the Yankee way, and he should be ashamed of himself, and his father is rolling over in his grave right now. You do not sell Shohei Ohtani Dodger jerseys in your team fan store. I don't care how much money it brings you. I don't care how much money you need. That Yankee brand used to mean something. George Steinbrenner he would fire every single person in that organization if they dared even suggest that they sell anyone's Dodger jersey at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees just did it over the weekend. That is a terrible job by Hal Steinbrenner. I think it's Hal.
It is.
WFAT.
Throw it out there, boys. Take phone calls, 20 shares. Boom.
You just said the Dodgers and Yankees were a rivalry?
They are. I would say Yankees-Red Sox 1, then Yankees-Dodgers 2.
No.
I would say the Dodgers are the Yankees' second biggest rival. Yes.
They're two different leagues.
I don't care. They played in the World Series all the time.
That doesn't make any difference.
It does to me.
All the time?
It's my rivalry.
They used to play a million years ago.
When they were in Brooklyn.
No, after that.
No.
After that, when it was Steve Garvey.
Oh, in the 80s? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't simply that they were selling Dodgers merchandise and Ohtani jerseys. They made like hybrid hats. And one half of the hat was for Aaron Judge, and the other half of the hat was for Shohei Ohtani, which is just kind of like a strange item to make, but they were selling those.
I dig that.
Wow.
I dig that hat. I'd be going to that series to see Dodgers, Yankees, to see Ohtani and Judge. So maybe that hat's just made for me.
Aaron Judge is enough. You don't need Ohtani. You're the Yankees. You have a brand. It's the biggest brand in sports. What are you doing?
You don't think they're just casual baseball fans that want to go because of the star power there and want something to
I don't care if they bought it or
by?
not. They went for Ohtani or not. If you're the Steinbrenner family, you cannot sell Dodger gear at the Yankee fan store at Yankee Stadium.
20 share.
They've played 22 times in the regular season ever.
World Series.
World Series, yeah.
World
He did
Series,
say
yeah,
that.
70s, early 80s. Yeah.
Let's see how many World Series.
Bill Russell, Steve Garvey, Ron Say, the Penguin.
I'd say they're bigger rivals
the
with the
Penguins.
Astros
Davey
at
Lopes,
this
I
point.
mean, Rick Monday. It was a great team.
WFAT.
The Yanks countered with Ron Guidry. They had Roy White. They had Willie Randolph, Mickey Rivers. Great team. Yankees were better, slightly better than the Dodgers.
Piniella?
Yeah.
I don't want.
Sweet Lou.
I don't want that Stugotz has been dying to do this show about 80s World Series for the last 20 years. That show was old 20 years ago, talking about games that were 20 years before that. But I do want to stop for just 1 second because I know baseball isn't what it used to be. But I do still love it. And Aaron Judge over the last 32 games has been better offensively than any player over 32 games, like going back to that Barry Bonds territory. So there's Aaron Judge over here. The Yankees in pinstripes have this tight end a good deal bigger than Travis Kelce, who's a beast. On the other side, same size, different country, also pitches when he's not hurt. Ohtani's numbers through the first part of his career are better than Babe Ruth's numbers through the first part of his career. Those two giant human beings, bigger than just about anyone physically who's ever played baseball, are dominating the sport, and nobody outside the sport cares. Like, they're two unprecedented athletes playing at the same time.
In the right markets.
It used to be, yes, that's right. Isn't this what we've always wanted? Giant markets, giant stars. With Ohtani, it used to be Anaheim. Not anymore. Get me the stat of the day real quick so I can tell you how good offensively these people have been, because they've been as good as Barry Bonds, and I'm about to give you a crazy Barry Bonds stat.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
If you were to strip Barry Bonds of all of his stats from his 7 MVP seasons, he would still have 440 homers and 359 stolen bases, which no other player has.
But no MVPs.
But if you put him on the Yankees or Dodgers right now, would he make any sort of impact?
I don't know. He's on both teams.
Simultaneously.
The Dodgers have a giant Asian dude who pitches and is Babe Ruth. Surely that'll save baseball. Right?
Yankees have played the L.A. Dodgers in the World Series 4 times and the Brooklyn Dodgers 7 times.
Yep.
So 11 times combined.
Thank you.
What if I gave you the added bonus of Babe Ruth is now in a gambling controversy as well?
Do I need to put Aaron Judge in a bigger market? Stugotz called the Yankees the biggest brand in sports. They're not, right? It's American sports, maybe?
Yeah, like Real Madrid's a bigger brand.
It's not It's not throughout the world,
Yeah,
but
I don't even know at this point.
I'm not even certain if they
Cowboys.
still are.
Cowboys are
might
probably
be, yeah,
bigger.
Yeah.
put it on the
Panthers.
poll, please. Bigger American brand at Le Batard Show, Cowboys or Yankees? Hard to believe that it's the Cowboys, given you've gone 30 years without any meaningful winning.
Their
for the
valuation
Cowboys.
just keeps going up.
Yeah,
and
Cowboys
up.
are valued at $9 billion. Yankees at 7.1. Then Golden State Warriors at
Where are
7.
the Panthers at?
We
Not
can't
a-
even get the right graphic put up on local news channels. They put up the Carolina
I saw
Panthers
that.
graphic in LA.
I saw that.
Ridiculous,
That
insulting.
is so good. Tony is out and about trying to get us some Panther fans out in the streets of Miami, but it is raining.
I actually have rankings from Forbes. It's Cowboys 1, Yankees 2, Warriors are 3, Patriots 4.
So just what we
Steve
said.
Martin is number 5.
Yeah, it's what we said.
sorry.
It's exactly the list.
Someone said the Warriors?
That was just
I didn't
given.
hear that. I don't know. Roll back the tape. I'm not certain. I don't think anyone said the Warriors.
Warriors
And by the
were
way, that's
said, yes.
ridiculous. The Warriors. I mean, no one
a
thinks
new
of the
building.
Warriors when they think of big brands. Nobody.
Big market.
It is raining,
okay.
but we will check in with
Next.
Tony and see what's going on
All right,
next
so
segment.
Tony is searching
Is he
for
made of
Panther
sugar? You can't go
fans.
outside in the rain? I mean,
Since Stugotz is saying that people should be ashamed of themselves, I don't even know why it is that you think that the details involved with the Army-Navy game
God.
are now involving shame dispension for others.
College football does not care about our military. They don't care about our troops. This game, rightfully so, forever has been an isolated game, Army-Navy, and the troops deserve that. These two schools, those two programs, they deserve to have a weekend that's all about them. College game day goes out there. They celebrate the Army. They celebrate the Navy. It is a fantastic weekend, And now, Dan.
I hate it. It makes me sad.
Why?
Okay, because
Really?
the football's bad, and I miss football.
How dare you.
I immediately miss football, but that's me. I know that's un-American.
All right, so now the NCAA, college football, they hate the troops, and so does Dan Le Batard, okay?
I don't hate the
record,
troops.
on record.
Would love to know how the NCAA hates the
don't
troops.
hate
Well,
the
Getting
troops.
there.
So they took this isolated game, this beautiful game, Army, Navy. They've been playing it since the beginning of time, okay? Isolated weekend.
Back to
They
the
have-
1600s.
You know what they did? It's no longer isolated.
What?
Now you get the Camilla Bowl and you get the Celebration Bowl.
The start of bowl season.
And that is a disgrace, and I'll tell you why.
Disgraceful.
Go ahead. Name any team who was played in the last 10 of either of those bowls. Name any team. Because I guarantee, and you can't, okay? The answer is you can't.
Is it Camilla Bowl
But
on
here's,
the what?
here's what I guarantee you, okay? I guarantee every year you could tell me who's playing in the Army-Navy game. It's Army and Navy. Yeah.
Is this because bowl season had to be moved up because of the playoff?
Yeah.
Well, they gave you a 12-team playoff.
No, but these are
Not
stupid
worth
bowl
it.
games that aren't
Yeah.
worth it.
You really think Tulane Central Michigan's going to take away from Army Navy?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it does or it
Depends
doesn't.
on what the line is.
They deserve their own weekend. It's
Exactly
our
right.
military.
You said the Celebration Bowl?
Yeah.
I assume Jackson State.
You assume. You
I
don't
assume.
know.
It has to be an HBCU, so I
You know
assume.
it's Army-Navy. That's what you know.
That's the thing.
You don't
You know.
assume anything.
Wait, but
Okay.
you don't think it's going to be ice? I'm pretty sure it'll be. You just mentioned 3 games that weekend.
I want that
We
game
can
and-
make TV windows for them all.
No, they are TV windows. No, I'm saying that game deserves to be played.
The
No other
entire
games,
week.
but yes.
The entire week they get it. They build
yes.
up all the attention. It's the
Yes.
least we can do
Guys,
for them.
I
Thank
love
you
that
for your
game just
service.
as much as everybody else.
I don't
but
think so.
We'd be fine with 2.
Doesn't seem like it.
We'd be fine with like maybe 2 more games.
Wait,
that week.
guys,
No.
Mike's
No.
right.
No.
There's a game that's going to kick off at noon, the Celebration
Yeah.
Bowl. Army
Right.
Navy will be at 3 p.m.
Yeah. That's
and then
great.
there's a 9
Exactly.
p.m. game.
So
Actually-
that's disgusting.
Yeah.
No, it's
What?
Yeah,
not.
it should
No.
be the only game played that day.
Disgusting?
Yeah,
Right
that's
there in
right.
the middle of
And
that
whoever
sandwich.
did the
It's
scheduling,
disgusting?
that's right. And whoever did the scheduling for that, or whoever's in charge of the NCAA, if that's even still a thing, should be charged for treason.
What?
Easily.
Yes.
It's a spit in the face and a slap in the face of America and of these young cadets who are doing their darndest to protect our country and play the best football they can.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
Army Navy, they started playing in 1890.
Beginning of
said,
time.
60
When it comes to the armed
Beginning of
services,
time,
sarcasm is not a spot for it.
I've got a number of poll questions
Serious.
here at Le Batard Show. Should the NCAA be charged for treason for what it is they've done to Army Navy? Does the Army Navy game make you happy or sad? Because you guys are making me anti-troop, but I'm telling you, I'm pro-football. You cannot. I know we're doing
You're
this.
sad because it's the last game they're going to play, right?
Big fan
That's
of the
why you're
Camilla
sad?
Bowl. I mean,
Look, you're going to be against more football, Stugotz. Stugotz, we have noticed over the last couple of years there has been a bit of an outpouring in the arena with something that had been taboo and in the shadows for a long time. Men talking about their feelings and talking about when it is they're hurting. I associate this with Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan, but you can find it in any number of places where we're talking about what does mental health look like for you? It's different for everybody. Darren Waller has publicly talked about some of his demons, some of his fights with self-medicating, with depression. And Darren Waller now is the source of a lot of internet laughing. This is a guy, Stugotz, the Raiders traded, and we were all like, why would you trade him? He's the prototype for what it is that sport has become down the middle of the field. You can't guard that. Oh, surely it'll make Daniel Jones good, right? Surely one of these Kyle Pitts types that's a wide receiver that you put in a tight end's body and then you have him run down the middle of the field. Darren Waller, I mean, he's not Kelsey and Gronk, but you wonder if he played with Brady for a bunch of years, whether he would be something like that.
Sure.
He has disintegrated publicly, and his relationship fell apart, and he is now retiring from the Giants. And it was reported much of last year that he was thinking about retiring, which is the worst place to be mentally in that sport. Like if your heart's not in it, good God. If you're doing that only for money and your brain hurts and your body hurts and it's hard to get up on Mondays and you want to quit, that is a really tough job to drag yourself into.
It is, but some guys don't have a choice. I mean,
Understood.
right.
But clearly this solution now. Nobody thinks that Darren Waller can't still play. He can still run down the middle of your field, and he'll get 1,000 yards with the right quarterback.
Yes.
A big number with not Daniel Jones. But he's quitting. And I ask you guys, because the Giants were counting on that, and it was suspicious when the Raiders traded him. I don't know what they knew, right? But you're talking about a guy who's talked publicly about what his demons are and how dark he can run. And I just ask all of you, when Darren Waller retires and we have an unusual announcement of music videos and the way that he is doing this, what is your take on it? How do you receive it? Because I don't want to laugh at this person. I'm
not laughing at Darren Waller. I'm wondering
the
what's
internet
going on.
The internet is laughing at Darren Waller's pain.
Well, the music video didn't help.
They're laughing at the music video, and I guess by extension they're laughing at Darren Waller. I don't laugh at it because of the nature of the sport that he plays. I'm concerned. I wonder what's going on inside of him. That's what I wonder every time.
Well, he's telling you through art. He's trying to tell you through things that people are making fun of. He's trying to tell you that his pain, he's heartbroken. And I don't know any of the history of his relationship. I know that I've never seen a tight end come out with a music video to address his breakup, and I've never seen a tight end shortly thereafter retire from a career that a lot of people would like to have.
Remember, he made the song through her perspective. So there was heartbreak in that song, but I'm not exactly sure whose heartbreak it was because of how he constructed the song. Also, it wasn't a very good song. Yeah, to everybody's point right now, Trey Wingo was unbelievable in 2019 and 2020. He had 197 catches, 2,300 yards, 12 TDs, and 32 games played. However, in the
Mike,
three seasons since...
The way you delivered that, all of us thought Trey Wingo was running down the seam in a suit.
I
know it's from Trey Wingo, but all of us have Trey Wingo. You just had...
What did Trey do?
It's a pretty good name for a tight end, wide receiver. I don't know.
Trey Wingo had that set, but it has been. I think you're affording Darren Waller. Like, he's 31 years old. He's battled through some injuries. He's pretty much done because in the 3 seasons since he signed that big deal, and you're asking maybe the Raiders saw this coming. This wasn't a hard one to predict. 134 catches, just 1,600 yards, 6 touchdowns. He wasn't in a great offense last year. He was dealing with injuries, but this is a guy that when the Giants received that phone call from him that he's going to retire, they're like, okay, well, we don't have to pay him all that money. We got some cap stuff here, but this is actually not a bad thing for us.
Not a lot of people walk away from that money, and you do say diminished production, but I would tell you 31 is younger than Kelsey is. Like, 31 is not over the hill for a tight end.
He had two really good seasons at the position.
He got injured.
He's one of these. I mean, ever since the tight end position has evolved, they try countless converted wide receivers at that position, hoping that lightning strikes and you get a Darren Waller. And he was, for at least one season, as good as anybody from a production standpoint at that position. But it's been a while. It's been a while.
Tony is out in the field, Stugotz. Tony, give me an update on everything that's going on here, because we've been wanting to go to you for a couple of segments now to get man-on-the-street Panther interviews to show the world how excited South Florida is about this hockey team, and there's been nobody available to you.
Dan, it's early here. We're in the heart of Mary Brickell Village on 8th Street and South Miami Avenue. Dan, I know we were talking baseball in the last segment. I want to let you know, buy one, get one free. Marlin tickets here if you buy something from Burger King. That can't be a real player, right?
That is
Jake
a player.
Burger, that's
yes,
not.
That's their
no
third
way.
baseman.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Okay, Dan, we've got literally dozens of people here in Brickell. Again, it rained, but we're back now. I don't want Rose to get hit by a car. Rose, take a step towards me. Thank you.
Okay.
We're gonna ask this lady right here a question. Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, what did you think of Carter Verhaeghe's goal?
I gotta go to work.
Oh, you gotta go. Okay.
Okay.
She didn't think of anything of Carter Verhaeghe's goal. Okay.
Tony,
I got one more. Hold on. I'm
a trainer.
This lady here. One more time.
She's in a big hurry.
Ma'am, what did you think about Evan Rodriguez's goal? No hablo inglés. Okay, te lo puedo.
Rodriguez. Ask her about Evan Rodriguez.
Evan Rodriguez's goal. No? Evan Rodriguez's goal, sir.
No.
Nada. No sentió nada. Okay.
The lady said no hablo
Primo,
español.
el gol de Carter Verhaeghe.
In Spanish.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
That's how you do it.
Panther fever,
Thumbs up,
baby.
thumbs up.
Yes.
You can really feel it. The city's really getting around this team.
The city is buzzy right now, Dan. We actually have the biggest get right now. He's across the street. If you can see him, it's the little robot right there. You see him? We're really trying to get the little robot that delivers food to people, but
Okay.
delivery robot. Look, Rose, see if you can pan over. There he is right there.
right.
Very carefully crossing the street, by the way.
Yeah, those things, I saw them all over Los Angeles, and I got to think that they are ending up in gutters and people are breaking them, and there's no way that's an efficient way to deliver food. There's just no way. Tony, stay out there. Keep going. Can you go across the street? There's a gaggle of people. I want more in the street, live coverage.
Yes.
On the sidewalk.
Let's go over here. Come on, let's go over here.
I prefer the street, actually.
Let's ask these guys. Let's ask these guys right here. Primo, una pregunta. ¿Viste el gol de Carter Verhaeghe?
No one speaks Spanish.
What
It's
is
crazy.
happening right now? Why is
Pero estoy
everyone...
hablando en español. No, el gol de Carter Verhaeghe de hockey.
Try English.
No, he said he didn't speak
Just
English.
indifferent.
Oh, these guys, here we go. Guys, what do you think about Carter Verhaeghe's goal over the weekend?
He has no idea about sports. Sorry, guys.
Hockey? No idea. Okay. Okay. No idea about sports. I should have known that from the
Knock
hat.
on that guy's
Tony,
window.
knock on the window. Tony, knock on the
window,
truck.
yeah.
Tony,
Don't
Tony.
do that.
Right here, Tony. Right
Listen
here.
to them.
That truck is very tinted. I'm going to talk to these
that's
guys
not a
right
truck
here.
you
I don't know
approach.
what can come out of that car.
That is not a
You
truck
got
you
that.
approach.
Right.
Ma'am, I have a question for you. Carter Verhaeghe, Evan Rodriguez, back-to-back goals, incredible. Okay.
You're not at the right mall.
Yeah.
You got to go to Sawgrass.
Oh, man, at Sawgrass, this
You're
would
right.
crush.
Yeah.
Ma'am, did you see the Panthers at empty netter 3-0? No, she didn't see it. Okay.
All right, Tony.
Tony,
Tony,
we feel it. I can
It
feel
is
it.
the Stanley Cup final. South Florida is swooning. We have rarely had this feeling here for sports. The energy is sweeping over the
palpable.
Every county in waves. We will come back out to you. Tell us when to come back out to you. Give us an alert when you've got somebody, when you've got some bait on the hook that's been ensnaring
Ask the baby.
somebody.
Maybe
Okay.
vet them first.
Ask the baby.
Here, hello, baby.
Guys, what did you think? 3-0 Panthers. No. Ma'am,
Okay.
3-0 Panthers, incredible? No?
Nobody
Okay.
wants to be
Dan,
a
back to
star.
you.
No one wants to be a
Weird,
star
right.
nowadays.
Sprinting away from a microphone. It's weird. Yeah.
I thought everybody
Crazy.
wanted to be on television. I thought that fame was the currency of the day.
I really hope some unassuming person turns around and starts talking about the forecheck. Yeah. Just to embarrass you all. You do this any place except for maybe Canada. Yeah. And you get the same reaction.
Well, that's what me and Dan are saying. Bob Gainey is somewhere in Ottawa in a little shed, and he's watching this, and he's throwing up.
Bob Gainey! What I want, this is what I want just you to imagine, okay? You've lived on Prince Edward Island all your life.
That's the spot.
You're at an ice fishing hole.
No, listen to me. Listen, listen to me. You have made a career as an ice fisherman because Canada's ice gives you your living. You have one thing you care about outside of your ice fishing career.
And that's curling.
It's hockey, and it's been hockey for 60 years. Handed down from your grandpappy because those cold, cold winters get warmer only when the Oilers are scoring.
In Nova Scotia.
And now you tune in on YouTube, on your little thingamajiggy. You've had it since 1980. And you're like, what are those people doing down in Florida? Surely they care about this the way that I do.
How do you dress like that to work?
And Tony can't get a person to talk about Carter Verhaeghe, where if Carter Verhaeghe were an Edmonton Oiler, generations would pass down his name. Tony can't find a person. Hold on. Let's go back out to Tony.
Oh, I think you got someone.
Hold on. All right.
Dan, there's people actively fleeing me because they don't know what I'm talking about. They say they don't speak Spanish. I speak to them in Spanish. They tell me they don't speak Spanish. I don't get it.
It is weird.
This isn't,
hopefully
guys, this is not where the locals are. These are all tourists.
Maybe right here. Here we go. Ma'am, did you watch the Panthers game 3-0? What'd you think?
Danny's getting out.
Oh, Carter Verhaeghe, what an incredible goal, right?
Yeah, that's our biggest Panther fan.
She's laughing at Edmonton.
I think Verhaeghe throws people off. They don't really get what I'm saying, so they're like, "No, I don't speak that language." Sorry.
Yeah, you're coming on
No,
strong.
it's a
Just
name.
ask him about the hockey.
Right.
Hey, you see the hockey game? Maybe that's the approach.
Okay, let me-
and then we
Okay,
let's
go.
in a Verhaeghe.
Connor
Right here, this
McDavid,
guy
is
was
he
talking about-
overrated?
Tony, did you
Sir.
say hockey?
I mean, talk to me about that Panthers game.
I'm not a big hockey fan, but I heard about it.
Okay.
There we go. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take hearing about it.
2 more to go, he said.
Yes.
He said 2 more to go.
Yeah.
We need 3.
Open-ended
2 more to
questions,
go.
Tony.
He's already
That's how
chalked
you
this
get
one up
something.
tonight.
2 more to go, but we need 3. He's already got this one in the back.
2 more
I
to
love it.
go.
Why do people keep saying in Spanish that they don't understand Spanish? Juju, do me the favor, please, of putting this up as a poll question. Through 2 games, would you be willing to vote Trailblazers general manager Joe Cronin as finals MVP? What do you think, everybody? Drew Holiday, I remember many, many years ago, him and Lou Williams. Remember them? 8 seeds, plucky 76ers. You can't beat LeBron with Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is going to have another championship after Amin Al-Hassan, our basketball expert at Meadowlark Media, called him a corpse.
After he considered retirement.
He did.
After he considered retirement out loud, his agent was very mad about this, out loud, because Jimmy Butler ruined what he thought was going to be the end of his career. Oh, I went with Giannis, Milwaukee. Ouch, that hurt. I'm thinking about retiring. That hurt so much. And now he's got a 4-year extension. And Brad Stevens and Joe Cronin can win Executive of the Year because Drew Holiday has no turnovers in this series and has the numbers you'd think you'd get from Tatum.
I think you're headed somewhere, but just real quick, like we just mentioned it casually. Is there anything that the Miami Heat are saying about what Jimmy Butler did on the national broadcast? Like his feeble attempt at public leverage with 22 looks good in purple and gold. Anything there?
While a public show of support for Cameron Brink and just being near the attention of the moment, of course he's going to negotiate some in social media because why wouldn't you? Jimmy Butler has had a star turn. It's kind of weird, right? If you look at the last 20 years of Heat basketball, Stugotz, because the rules all changed about what the organization thought about the player being in charge when Shaq got here.
Right.
And so Shaq teaches Dwayne, and what they learn is we'll be organizational bedfellows, and Dwayne will bring LeBron and teach him, yes, try and fit in. And then LeBron learns after 3 years, not for me anymore. I don't want to do it that way anymore. I want to be in charge of all the things. I think I can do it on my own. And then seals his legacy by going to Cleveland and doing it again. But the Heat organization has been dealing for a long time with a tension between how it is the star wants to be treated in basketball, deserves to be treated in basketball, and here in town, Pat Riley's the star. And it's been something that has been dirty at the end with Shaq, because he left here unhappy when it broke apart. But Shaq brought it with him his own PR people, his own teams. He showed up for things when he wanted to. Giant star, bigger than the organization. It becomes a wrestling match. Dwayne Wade, 20 years, but at the end gets hurt, is a pillar for 20 years of I'll do what you want. I'll do what you want.
It was ugly with LeBron as well.
Well, when you leave and you're a giant star and you want to break free of the shackles of whatever Tom Brady broke free of under Belichick. Well, no, man, like I'm a star. Do you see that when people come to Miami, Bad Boys opens huge this weekend. Will Smith, total comeback tour, has been promoting the hell out of it. Bad Boys, when they come to Miami, who do they get? It's not Pat Riley. It's Jimmy Butler in the Hulu ads, in the commercials, dating the starlets, being very good at being in front of people as a star, riding a horse through Miami.
Be odd if Riley was doing that, though.
No, but you're correct. But you understand what I'm saying when you talk about organization versus player. Now, at the end of the social media age, whatever Jimmy Butler is at 35 in terms of having pop cultural collateral, that sport breeds stars. The stars are worth $78 billion in streaming money because that sport, since Magic and Bird, has done a great job of making stars. Pat Riley coached Magic, coached against Bird, tries to hold the star accountable. This star shows up at media day in costumes. This star misses games, and I come to learn, oh, Jimmy Butler makes $500,000 to $600,000 a game that he's missing. The reason that I'm coming to learn that is because they're noticing in the Heat organization that it costs $500,000 to get your diva on the stage.
I think this star is different, though, as opposed to Shaq and LeBron, where they came here. The Heat needed those guys. Those guys were stars before they got here and would have been stars wherever it is
the
they
Heat
decided
needed
to
Jimmy
go.
Butler when they got him.
No,
they really needed him.
No, I understand that. Whether it's true or not, the Heat could make a claim, hey, Jimmy, you were not this kind of star until you got here.
Yes, but
we helped turn you into this kind of star.
Belichick can make the same claim on Brady.
True.
And then Brady goes somewhere else, and look at how, look, at the top of sports and ego, you think Jimmy Butler doesn't think he'd be here beating these Celtics?
Yep.
Beating these Celtics. You don't think Jimmy Butler thinks that if he was healthy, you don't think the Celtics would have had an actual test by now if Jimmy Butler had been healthy?
Well, that's at the heart of Pat Riley taking a shot at him in his postseason wrap-up presser. And then it was a quiet couple of weeks, and you thought, like, okay, well, maybe there's not much there. Jimmy took the criticism in stride, but this was Jimmy's first attempt to, like, okay, I heard your shot at me. I'm going to go and do something in the public space to make you feel some pressure.
It's going to be fun and funny, and the dollars are what they are, and his age is what it is. And I'm guessing that whatever they want to do with him, they've already decided what it is. I don't know that. I've not asked the questions, but I'm assuming that whatever it is that they have as a plan for Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero is already in motion. Because what you saw, when I said Boston closed Miami's window as we know it, you can't come back with Tyler Hero. Like, you've got to start trading some of these pieces. You got to see if Jaime Jaquez and Duncan Robinson, if you're indeed going forth with Jimmy Butler, if it's not going to be, okay, we're going to do Donovan Mitchell now and some other permutation, see if we get a couple of years younger at that position.
You brought up a very interesting point, because you have to ask yourself that question. Has Boston shut the window on everyone? Because it feels like this thing is just getting started.
Everybody
For me, it does.
Okay, but everybody got hurt. I'm saying they shut the window just because over the last 5 years at the top of the conference, it's been these two teams. I dared to say with Jason Tatum that his most memorable play as a Celtic is getting blocked at the rim by Bam Adebayo. People quibble with that. They say he had a Game 7 dunk against LeBron. Point stands, the top of the sport has been Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum for 5 years, or the top of the Eastern Conference. And Miami did something. I remind you, when the Knicks ended the Heat incarnation of Zoe and everybody else, it was an 8 beating a 1, and it was over. It was like, that's it. The Celtics, Stugotz, said, Marcus Smart, you got to get out of here. This isn't good enough. This isn't going to beat Jimmy Butler. As an 8 seed, as a 1 seed, you got to get out of here. Jaylen Brown and Tatum have to grow up. Who are we going to get? A veteran, Drew Holiday. Not going to be at all like Marcus Smart. Not going to be a lot of dumb three-pointers. He's going to be somebody who wins the game too, because he's been there before. Porzingis as a 3 or a 4? You kidding me? Okay, we're going to change the way that everyone gets stretched because the 7'4" guy can hit the shot from 30 feet. The Heat made them, when you consider Danny Ainge and Pat Riley fighting in the 80s with the Celtics and the Lakers, then fighting when Danny Ainge was an executive, gets replaced by Brad Stevens. Pat Riley is telling his spokesperson, go to say out loud in public to Danny Ainge, Boston, f*** off Danny Ainge. Because hates Boston like that. For the last 5 years, Stugotz, it's been these two teams. And I don't think as we sit here, because we all know Jimmy Butler aged, he's obviously aging, that the Celtics got great because Jimmy Butler made them. He forced them to, fighting at the top of the conference. They had to change everything. Marcus Smart with his green hair, do you know how much that city loved that dude? Loved that dude. Charlotte's still whimpering around here about that's the heart and soul of our team, and the moment they get rid of him.
It was so sad to see him go as a Heat fan.
Right?
So sad. So sad to see him go.
You're going to play point guard. That's what you're going to do.
No, talk yourself into this guy being super important.
Forever.
Please. And I think, I hope It seems as though, and I have faith in, that Pat got the message. Like, okay, you can only endure so many off seasons of guys taking your lunch money, and the Boston Celtics are in this position in large part due to how aggressive they were. You were in on Drew Holiday, but you burned that bridge with Portland. They took advantage. You weren't able to get Damian Lillard. The Milwaukee Bucks were able to get Damian Lillard. So I do hope that Pat Riley decides, okay, we're not going to stand pat anymore. We're going to make an aggressive move.
The Heat did think they were going to be able to get in on Holiday after Lillard collapsed.
That's reflective of the overall bravado that they approached that entire Portland experience with.
I think that's Mike's problem, though, is Riley used to get in on all these guys and used to get all these guys, and he no longer is.
Yeah, not to rehash it, but you were just going down the Drew Holiday point, and I'm like, I can't think of Drew Holiday without another Miami Heat strikeout, and then Jimmy just opens the door to, oh, actually, maybe it's not all peaceful. Maybe I wasn't just being quiet, and that meant we agreed. I just didn't have a microphone near my mouth at the time.
Stugotz, you did say, and this part, to me, it's always interesting, right? We really enjoyed it when it was Belichick and Brady. Who's responsible for whose success? But when you say Jimmy Butler was never this before he got to Miami, and that Jimmy Butler should be grateful for that. And I counter with Jimmy Butler and his agent saying, do you know the mess you guys were in with Dion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside and what was going to be the end of Riley's career when you didn't have assets and I was the free agent who chose you, bailed you out for the last 5 years? Like, it's been it's been a marriage of mutual benefits that has really been great. But third place isn't good enough. Fourth place isn't good enough. Being the fourth best of your era doesn't get remembered in any way.
This is nothing like the Patriots and Tom Brady. Right. Like, I'm sorry, Jimmy Butler is not Tom Brady.
It's more like...
and, like, the Heat are not this dominant force at the top of these. They went on a miraculous run last postseason, and that finals was not close. I don't think anyone thought they were going to win the championship.
He's been to 2 finals, and we all questioned whether or not he could be the best guy in a team that goes to the NBA Finals. I'm just comparing it to LeBron and Shaq when they got here. Like, Jimmy needed the Heat needed Jimmy. I understand that. LeBron and Shaq did not need the Heat.
Billy does bring up a good point. It's a lot closer to Marv Levy and Jim Kelly.
Fair enough. I'm saying we just love this stuff, and it's Miami's version. So, of course, nothing's going to compare to Brady and Belichick, but you've got two stars struggling over the power on leverage and money when they're both trying to decide who gets credit for the other.
And meanwhile, the best one is Spo. Out of the whole lot.
Right.
It's Spo.
Yeah.
Who's working with all the pieces. All the pieces of Jimmy's personality and all the pieces of roster construction that Pat has given him. Spo's the guy that's made everything work.
It's going to be an explosion here, correct? At the end. If he leaves, it's not going to be quiet.
When has he ever left a place peacefully?
It's going to be a firework.
Ever. Be quiet. I mean.
I've been embarrassed for Mike Ryan stomping around the offices here, just screaming at people who don't want to hear or feel his hot breath on their face. We can't let Berhalter get away with this.
Oh, God.
He's just breathing hot fumes all over everyone. Billy, have you caught any of this shrapnel of him just yelling at everybody about Berhalter?
Not yet. That's a soccer person, right?
Yeah.
What's Berhalter up to?
Greg Berhalter, who has managed 70 games, I think, for the U.S. men's national team. This is not a new experiment after having a really ugly situation play out in front of everybody's eyes last World Cup with Gio Reyna. His contract runs out, and you think, okay, well, that's that. That's the end of the Greg Berhalter experience. He's brought back after all that drama. And Greg Berhalter and the U.S. men's national team lose to Colombia 5-1 in a friendly.
Colombia looked good, Mike.
Colombia's been, I will give Colombia credit. They're unbeaten in 22 straight. Colombia, from a talent perspective, is not as good as the United States of America is. And that may come as a surprise to you. This was the first starting 11 ever in U.S. men's soccer history where you fielded a starting 11 from all of Europe's top 5 leagues. It was celebrated as, look at us, we finally arrived, this is such talent, and Colombia is still counting on James Rodriguez. There is a talent disparity there. And to lose 5-1 is a huge embarrassment. But it was wholly predictable if you were following this. Now, you guys know I am not a Greg Berhalter guy.
You've been yelling about Berhalter for several years, and in my lifetime, the United States has never been more talented than Colombia. That's a recent phenomenon, and very recent.
Yeah, I just don't like the way that Greg Berhalter approaches the game. I think it's egotistical. I think that it doesn't play into what has worked for the U.S. in the past. Generally, I think when you have an international program, you really have to apply the principles of defense. You don't have these guys in for a long time in your camp to try to replicate some great ball possession. He tries to display an attacking mindset, that of like Barcelona, like we'll control the midfield, and that's great if you're beating the likes of Jamaica 7-0, but you're not.
You hate him.
I hate him. I do.
Just get to it.
I do hate Greg Berhalter, and this is a missed opportunity. And the reason why I'm making such a stink about Greg Berhalter in the bullpen area is because we need to hold this program accountable. We're hosting the World Cup in 2026. We have, as I just identified, a really talented roster. If it's going to happen for us, it needs to happen when we're host nation. If you want a really deep, memorable run that can make this a true sport that is followed,
they're ruining it all.
They're throwing it all away.
You wanted momentum. You've wanted this.
Yes, but the problem is I want it and you don't. You don't even want to talk about it. You want to ignore it. You just want to tune in 2026 and expect results.
You just want to walk around and say you hate Berhalter.
This is a practice game.
This is a practice game, and they have another practice game.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, but you're going to be like, it doesn't matter.
Exactly right.
What are you talking about?
They're going into the Copa America later this month.
And what's that?
It is now they are invited to participate in a Copa America, which is usually essentially a World Cup, but just for South America.
Invite only.
And now it is combined between CONCACAF and South America. And the United States is going to go into that first game against Bolivia. And if you haven't been watching Bolivia, I don't blame you, but Bolivia can control possession. You don't want to go into that game against Uruguay wanting a result. All right. I'm boring you all?
No.
You're all just going to complain?
No, I was distracted by your Uruguay.
I
I thought that was aggressive. I thought that was aggressively Hispanic. No, you're not boring me. I was getting some air traffic control that's saying that Tony is now feeling like he's in position to give us some hot Panthers information. Just hold on a second.
Well, we don't deserve 2026.
All right.
If we're not going to get fired up about losing 5-1.
It's like, why would you throw a party and like be the first one to leave it? Because that's what's going to happen at that World Cup.
Mike, it's like you with the election. I'll get the energy when we get there.
No,
but I want to win Copa America. I want to be competitive. I want to.
Okay.
We don't have qualifying to get ready.
All right,
you're
saying
Mourinho was right there.
It's going to take a minute because you're saying I want it for Copa America, and Billy's asking, what's that?
Yeah.
That old song and dance.
It's the South American World Cup that we're now part of.
Tony is out on the streets. He is filled with all sorts of Panthers euphoria because the Florida Panthers are in the Stanley Cup final. Tony, what's the latest?
Dan, latest is the city is buzzing. People were talking Panthers as I was walking by. They are super excited. We're trying to find some people to talk on the mic.
That's
there. Sir, you watched the Panthers game?
Yeah. Is that a breath, that guy?
Guys, did you watch the Panthers game last night?
No.
You didn't? Okay.
Ask about
Ma'am?
Copa America.
Panthers
suitcase.
What a game, right?
Sorry, I don't speak English.
That's in English.
That's English.
I think you have to specify Florida Panthers.
That's it.
There.
But
You're
the
talking
point
about
is,
Pitt?
The city is ablaze right now with Panthers fandom.
Okay.
I shouldn't need to say Florida Panthers. That'll confuse non-English speakers.
Tony,
two of those three were
these
tourists.
two coming behind you. Let's see what they. Oh,
They just made a right.
They made a right turn to avoid you. Actively
Sir,
avoid you.
Panthers. No. Okay.
Come Copa Stanley.
Ask him about Greg Berhalter.
Yeah.
You know
right,
what? I bet you
he'd
he'd get an assortment of soccer opinions if he started asking questions in Spanish.
In Brickell, ask about Colombia winning 5-1.
Yes,
We'll definitely
Gentlemen,
get
the
something
Panthers
there.
game this weekend. Panthers game.
You know what, Tony?
okay.
Switch it up. Ask somebody
Soccer.
about Colombia yesterday. Colombia
Beating
winning
USA.
5-1. Yeah.
Oh, we do have some Coast Guard guys over here. Let's see if we can get
That
them.
could be a Florida Panthers fan
Thank
right
you for
there.
your service.
Exactly. Thank them.
Yep.
Ask them about the Army-Navy game.
Yeah, these guys know
Approach
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah.
Approach
These guys
slowly.
know puck.
To the Bears.
They don't want to talk about the Camellia Bowl.
Hey guys, excuse me. You guys excited for the Panthers?
Yeah!
How about the game this weekend, huh? A lot of blank faces. Nobody watched the Panthers
a bunch
game?
of fakers.
Okay.
I
Thank you for your
appreciate it,
service.
though.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
There was one guy in
Had
that
to
group
mix
that was
in the
just shy.
TYTYF.
All right, Tony, thank you for all your coverage. Stay out there. The goal before the end of the Stanley Cup final is to find a single person who cares.
Go to Sawgrass tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go to Sawgrass tomorrow.
go to
Go
Sawgrass.
to the
Go to
Grand
Broward
Lakes
County.
Cafe. Go to the
Buddy, Panthers
Rainforest
game.
Cafe.
Over the weekend. No? Okay.
There's no guarantee there either.
Ask about Columbia 5-1.
Tony, thank you. Appreciate the report. We will find somebody, Stugotz, somebody who cares in downtown Miami. Mike, it's not that we don't care about Berhalter, and it's not that we don't
Berhalter.
For me, it is. I don't.
It
care
is.
about
It is. Yeah, it is. It's how you guys don't care about it.
It's not that. It's no. You want? When have we ever been the show that fires the coach?
I mean, it's 70 matches in, and you're losing 5-1 to Columbia when you're more talented.
Speak for yourself.
I checked in on the game. I thought they were playing Colorado.
This is just a coach I don't care about.
You read the screen wrong.
I was like, this is a friendly against MLS? What's happening here?
I'm actually using Game Time because I'm going to watch the U.S. play Brazil in Orlando. It'll probably be – there's a big Brazilian community in Orlando. I'm not imagining like a super strong U.S. crowd there. And I'm hoping people hold Greg Berhalter accountable. So what I did was I did my part. I downloaded the Game Time app. I signed up for an account, and I used promo code Dan for $20 off my first purchase. What I love so much about the Game Time app is the all-in pricing. Guys, there's an easy tab right there, top right. You hit all-in pricing, so you see exactly what you need a budget for. I love that. Terms apply, last-minute tickets. I love the flash deals. Lowest price guaranteed. If you find a better price in the secondary market, Game Time will match it up to 110%. Great customer service. That is promo code DAN. Game Time.
McLovin is going to be on here in a little bit, Stugotz. We are going to talk to him because last time we talked to him, the Heat were beating up the Celtics, and now he gets to gloat a little bit. So we will get to that in a moment. And we're going to get into Stephen A. Smith and Bob Myers going back and forth at each other. Can you guys just put in the corner right now, though, Stephen A. Smith walking into the arena in his lavender suit because
so good.
He does, yes, he carries himself as if he's the universe's biggest star, and he is draped in a lavender suit, and he is coming in. Everyone had the same observation. It seems like he's ready to play, and he is. He is ready to play in his mid-50s because he is very comfortable with being a sports superstar, and Bob Myers has accused him of something, and Stephen A. Smith says no. Bob Myers says, we tear teams apart more than we ever have, maybe on purpose, maybe that guy down there, and he pointed at Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith said, not me, that's social media, not me. Your thoughts there, Stugotz?
We have imaging for this.
Do you get annoyed every time Dan Le Batard pontificates about the sports media industry? Well, too bad, He knows he don't give a damn about what he's gonna say. It's time for Sports Media Talk today.
I was asking you, though. I don't know why it is that
I don't know why Bob Myers is getting on Stephen A. Smith or getting on anyone about breaking up teams. That's what we do. No one really wants to talk about the winners. We want to talk about the losers. We want to talk about the teams that can't get it done. You want to see Jason Tatum do something. It's not good enough that Jason Tatum just wins 4 straight games and does so averaging 20 points a game. Not good enough for you. You want to see Jason Tatum have to do something late in the game on the road in a big spot because you feel like that will validate Jason Tatum as a player. We don't focus on the positives. We never have. We never will. We're the sports media. We fire coaches. We break up teams. And Stephen A. Smith, if you're not going to take that as some sort of badge, I am. Because that's what we do, and we do it better than anyone. I don't want to hear about it from Bob Myers. What do I care what Bob Myers has to say about anything?
I mean, he is the executive. We were just talking about giving the executive of the year and the finals MVP to a bunch of executives. Everybody's a fantasy league owner now. Everybody wants to be the architect on building the next thing. Right. Bob Myers built the thing that his owner said was light years ahead of everything.
He built it so well,
else.
He's on ESPN now. I mean, he's on their pregame. He's on their postgame. He's taking shots at Stephen A. Smith.
Get fired.
He left on his own.
Stephen A. Smith built ESPN.
He left on his own. Okay. Wow.
What?
Wow. Stugotz.
I mean, Boomer, all those guys.
Okay. Stugotz is just, he's
Probably.
very engaged today.
Can you imagine Stephen A. denying that he tears teams down, though?
Well, I thought Stugotz would just like to talk about how Stephen A. walks into the arena, because you do understand there's never been anything like this in the history of sports media. It's never existed before. You do understand that, right?
How is he limping more than Luka?
The other star I wanted to get to this weekend, Stugotz, because this was fairly amazing to watch. If a pop culture moment unlike any other, Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, creates a million think pieces, and ruins a night for Serena Williams and Venus Williams that was supposed to be about Hollywood being woker after George Floyd and finally rewarding some people who are diverse. Will Smith
ruined his own night.
ruined his night, right. Ruined the night for the Williams family, though, that was there to celebrate. Now, keep in mind, Stugotz, the Williams sisters are as unique a story as ever been told in sports, to come from the same womb and dominate the sport.
It's crazy.
Out of Compton, and their father overran the country club, and they were racial pioneers. And Will Smith ends up on that night soiling it by slapping Chris Rock. If you had told me what's the way back, marketing team, because you have to understand, Will Smith, Stugotz, is as big a movie star as there's been. 8 consecutive $100 million movies. Nobody's done that before. Like, whatever you want to say about movie stardom, this guy was it at making giant hits.
I think I read 15 number one box office hits.
It's absurd.
We don't even make movie stars like this anymore. And as the box office suffers, Fury Road breaks at $30 million. If you had told me the marketing machine behind Will Smith, and man, it's a machine, Stugotz. The press he was doing last week was kind of like Seinfeldian for Netflix and that Pop-Tart movie where you're like, Will Smith's everywhere telling you, I'm back now, but I'm not talking about that. I'm coming back, and I'm not going to be.
I experienced it awkwardly. Because we're trying to move past it and pretend like it didn't happen, and that whole thing was just so bizarre. I can't really get over it.
All of it's super weird. And would he make his way back? And how do you make it back? Like, this is a guy. I remember Bill Simmons wrote a great piece many years ago talking about like the formula to how Will Smith became a movie star. Do it with gadgets and aliens and giant spiders and whatever. And you could see the choices that he made to go from the uncommon story of rapper, television star, biggest movie star in the world. How do you come back from an incident where we're all like, you've been playing make-believe for 30 years. We feel like we know you. We like you. What was that? Like, where did that come from, movie star? We thought we buy your movies. We think we know you. Where did that come from? Why would you do that to Chris Rock?
And on the story arc, too, like his career was he had that awful Bright movie on Netflix where they were like crime-solving orcs, and he was done. This was a redemption story. This was a crowning moment on a career that had several twists and turns.
If you told me the 4th Bad Boys hastily put together, like they've been filming that in Miami and they were rushing that into theaters, that would open at $60 million and people are talking about it lifting the box office, I wouldn't have believed you. And I wonder, $60
million on the first day. Like I think it pulled in $100 million. I'm shocked by this.
I ask you again, back to Chris Cody's point of when Zion Williamson's shoe breaks, is Nike happy about it? Because any publicity is good publicity. It ain't terrible these days to be infamous too. Like, I don't know if that's just Bad Boys nostalgia, because I guess that speaks to some people. It does to me, but I was out after the second one. Like, they're getting more and more ridiculous.
Whoa, you were like, this second one's not good enough for me to watch another one? The second one?
No, after the second one, I was like, I didn't bother with the third one because I saw what people
because you're like, Bad Boys can't get better than this.
Right. That's right.
That was your logic.
It's been perfected. I wouldn't have chosen this as the path, the marketing path to how you reinvent Will Smith, how you get him back into
Well,
the
it's
game.
playing the hits, is it not? You're going back to one of your staples. You're doing it again for the 4th time, and people, I think it's nostalgia. I think that's exactly what it is.
But that would have been
It
your
took this
advice.
movie.
Would
Yes.
that have been your advice
Yes.
as opposed to why wouldn't you do it with Men in Black? Like what you there are other things he could have done it
He had
with.
tried, like his career was on ice because he was doing sequels to Men in Black and nobody was really responding. I think this is one of the really surprising box office stories.
But we're like counting international tallies here to get to 100. Like it didn't really do 100, and movie ticket prices are like $25 a ticket now. So
With
like
international, did over 100. Though.
yeah, international.
Right.
When have we ever
Yes.
celebrated international openings? We've always done like U.S. box office is like 100 whatever million.
I mean, you're a huge Fast and Furious fan. Like that it is really built on its international box office success.
Yeah, but I'm just saying this wasn't like a huge $100 million opening weekend in reality the way we normally do it. Tickets are a lot more expensive, and we're combining worldwide now.
But what I'm saying is, if Stallone went through the same thing that Will Smith went through, I would say, yeah, go do a Rocky movie. Go do a Rambo movie. And so Will Smith got back to his roots, and people are enjoying it. That's what saved him. It's what saved his career.
Yeah, I think there's more to it. I don't know if it's the slap. I'm not really sure how this struck. We've always been doing worldwide box office, by the way, but he had been doing that. Let me go back to Rocky. Let me go back to these franchises, and people were out on him.
You have to understand, Stugotz, whether you want to parse the numbers or not. We talked last week about movie theaters are dying. 60 million in theaters, whether it's a lot less than it used to be, is still a giant number for something that's not anything other than Will Smith's comeback nostalgia tour. Like it's not one of when Fury Road, which has I would assume Fury Road's budget is larger, much larger than whatever it is that Bad Boys' budget is. You just have to pay for your stars and 2 months of filming in Miami.
Yeah, but it was a $100 million budget, and they made it back in week 1. This wasn't a small picture. I thought it was a huge gamble, and you mentioned their marketing strategy. I found it kind of sad. Like they're going to throw first pitch in Marlins game, and they thought they were really amplifying Miami. And I was like, how is this going to resonate? All of this is awkward. And did it ever? Missed that one by a million miles. He's back.
My point was to all of you, would you, if you're the marketing team, you have the economy around this person is giant. However he gets back into the game is carefully crafted with him not speaking a word during the publicity about everything, about the thing that people want to talk to
How
him
can
about.
Martin Lawrence afford that house on a cop's salary?
It's an important question.
I got a theory is that they're drug cops, and they never turn in the right amount of drugs. So
Right.
They're
that's how he
cash.
affords the
Yeah.
house. Yeah. So Mike Fuentes' theory, if anyone was wondering.
It's good that we bring him on the show. I like that. When
He
they're
used
not
to have a
even
Twitter thread
your
of every
thoughts.
movie he
Yeah.
watched for the year. He would tweet about
That's
it, give
great.
his review for
That's
the year.
great.
But I don't
Thank
think he's
you.
done it the past
If I
couple.
wanted
Follow him
them,
on Letterboxd.
I'd
That's good.
follow him. Then I'd
Well, he
follow
lost control of his account for a little bit. Someone took it over, and then he had to make a parody account of his own. He added like a letter, and then he got regained control. It's a whole
tell
thing.
us more about Fuentes, please.
You don't follow him
I
on
don't think-
Letterboxd?
I don't think you want
he's
more.
great.
Waiting for him to watch Hitman.
Please. Just
I mean, in
like,
Billy's defense, we were stuck in the mud there. I mean, it felt like it. He was just trying to drag us out.
that is the greatest
trying
way
to
to
help.
do it.
I was
Yes,
like,
read
I fancy
Fuentes'
myself,
Twitter account.
fancy
That's the way
myself
to
a
do
tow
it.
I'm saying it
truck.
was good.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You stuck in
Tow
the mud, you
truck.
call me,
Yeah.
I pull you out.
Quicksand. Throw me
tugboat.
anchors.
I connect my winch.
I'm in the quicksand, and
Pull
what
you
Billy
out.
does is he just starts throwing me a rhino.
No,
elephants.
quicksand. You got to stay calm. We went over this with Greg last week.
Yeah.
Wait for a vine.
Fuentes here.
Ooh, he rated Logan from 2017 4.5.
Oh, wow.
Out of what?
5.
That's good.
Wow.
Billy saved
It
it.
wouldn't have been my advice to Will Smith. Make another Bad Boys. Look at this guy with the eating grin. He is so happy to be a Celtics fan right now. Look at him. He's drinking from his jar, his arrogant jar of pickles there, whatever it is that he's drinking. Christopher Mintz-Plasse. The last time we talked to you, McLovin, thank you for being on with us. We were making fun of you because the Heat were great and the Celtics were less great. And now here you are. Eating grin, speaking on your behalf. So go ahead. You're feeling smug today?
I mean, we feel great, man. We feel incredible. We're the most hated team for no reason, and we're ripping it up right now, and it feels fantastic. And happy 1 year anniversary to all you guys. Just want to say.
Thank you. That's very kind
nice.
of you.
Also, not for no reason.
It is. Yeah. So why do you feel like you're hated unfairly?
You could tell me. Someone said not for no reason. Fill me in. Tell me why.
Because you stroll into rooms thinking that you guys are hot, despite only winning one championship in high definition. In fact, since I've been alive, you've only won one title. Yet I got to hear about some 18th banner because you won about 13 of them when the game wasn't even integrated.
I love it. I love it. I can feel the hatred through the Zoom link. I love
Congratulations on being on the precipice of catching the Houston Rockets in terms of title prestige in my lifetime. Happy for you.
Mike, nothing's going to bother him today. I mean,
it just feels like, I want to know who you guys all picked to win the finals, by the way, because I feel like a lot of people picked the Mavs over the Celtics, which is pretty crazy because we won 64 games and we just kind of swept our way through the playoffs. And everyone's like, you got a Mickey Mouse run. You're finally going to face a team that's going to challenge you. Excuse my language, guys. I'm pretty heated.
That's okay. No, but let it fly. That's fine.
And now Luka's hurt.
Now we faced a team with two incredible closers, and we're doing our job, man. We're doing our job, and we're doing
Luka's upper body is wrapped like Randy Johnson after throwing a complete game. What are you talking about?
It's another excuse. It's another excuse. When we saw the questionable tag yesterday, we're like, here we go. Here it comes.
You got to admit, though, like you guys have had lots of lottery tickets over the years. You kept trotting out this core, and you finally got a really nice flat track. You got a lot of luck for this run. Every team's best player being hurt. Luka's out there, which is a change of pace, I guess, from the rest of the run, but it's not even like he's not hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he's dropping 30 points and 11 assists and 11 rebounds. Like, the man's healthy. The man's healthy. He's playing incredible. Yep. Kyrie, feels like he's got to step it up a little bit. I think role players play better at home, so the next two games for him are going to be really good. But they're fully healthy. We're doing our job, man.
Look at him. He's just smug. Look
Gloating.
at him. It's no fun when Boston gets to be smug.
I hit him with the best thing that I got. Like
Right.
the score wasn't even integrated.
It
I feel
work
like
today.
Yeah, he wasn't even expecting it.
1080p.
There's no touch.
I do
in this
remember last year when I came on, we had just lost Game 7 to the Heat, and that was pretty brutal. So it feels good to be back here in a winning environment.
What do you think of the fact, because Stugotz and I, and Stugotz, I feel like you misrepresented me earlier in the show, as you are wont to do. I'm just saying that from a customer perspective, it's unsatisfying to not watch this play out with close games where I can watch Jason Tatum be tested. And what I'd prefer, just because I want greatness to be great at the top of I like watching sports and like watching the best be the best.
And what I said was, I agree with you. I'd like to see that as well. But Boston fans, they don't care. They just want to get to 4 and hold up the trophy.
Correct. And so I understand why Boston would enjoy this and why everyone else would find it a little unsatisfying.
I get that. I mean, obviously, I think there's even parts when I'm watching Game 1 or something where I'm checking my phone and I'm like, why are you doing this? You've waited all year for your team to win the championship. And it's not the most thrilling. I get it. I would like when I'm watching any other series that my team is not in, you want it to be a 1-point game with 30 seconds left, obviously. So I get that. But yeah, I mean, like, what am I supposed to say? Oh, I wish Tatum was shooting 6 for 21 and we were losing by 10 and we had to make a comeback. Like, no, this is perfect for us. But listen, man, I get it. And it's going to be a bummer when we sweep.
Well, I said this actually, Stugotz, during the regular season because Boston was overwhelming teams, winning half their games, always up by 20 points.
Yeah, they had 50 games in which they had a 17-point lead this year. I mean,
that is correct. Half their games, they led by more than 20. It's a crazy stat. And in other circumstances, I feel like what I was saying would have been obvious to everybody, which is that this Celtics team is better than the one that won the championship. That it's been the margins it's winning by in the modern age, because the three-point shot is worth more. This team has actually been better than that one. But it's hard to argue when that team had Ray Allen and Garnett and Paul Pierce. You're thinking of Hall of Famers, and this one you're asking, hey, Tatum, can you be the second best player on this team statistically or not? It's confusing.
Yeah. God, it's really hard to be up 2-0 in a series and want to like dissect Tatum not shooting perfectly. You know, like it's like he's not doing well, but everybody else is picking up the flack. And we have like he's dropping 12 assists, and we shot what felt like 6 of 40 from 3, whatever, 6 of 32. If we make 4 more, the guy's going to have like 18 assists. You know what I mean? Like he dished and found a lot of open threes that were missed. So the fact that he's not shooting well, he's facilitating in every other avenue. So it kind of feels like, why are we picking this apart? Why am I picking this apart when we're winning? Right. It's just not the right thing.
Because we don't have to, right?
No, but this is why.
Yeah. Have you wondered aloud, why is Derek Jones Jr. playing 40 minutes?
Well, I mean, this is what it comes down to, is like our 3 to 6 is just leagues better than their 3 to 6, and it's showing it. Like we had Drew Holiday dropping 26, game 1.
But you're 1 and 2.
Porzingis, going for 20 and 20 minutes. Game 3, it could be Derek White for 35. Game 4 could be Al Horford for 8 threes. Like we are blessed that at any given night, one guy can go for 30. It's truly incredible.
I will tell you this, though. I do believe that the reason that we're talking about things like that with Tatum is because the stories on the court aren't interesting enough. It's hard to talk about a team winning uninteresting games in uninteresting ways. Like that last night, the Celtics shot horribly from 3.
It's not, Dan, it's not their fault it's uninteresting. The Celtics are the most interesting thing on the court. Kyrie Irving is going 6 of 19. He's dropping 14 points. Like, if he's going for 30 with Luka scoring 30, last night's a nail biter. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing our job. We're locking them down. We're blocking shots, stealing it. We're making the game interesting. You're asking the wrong questions here, dude.
No, and you're blaming the wrong team. You're so right about this.
Yeah. You're blaming
We're lashing out. We're lashing out. 100%.
I know. And I'm not taking the bait, dude. I'm not doing this. You're not Jason kidding me here, dude. You're not playing mental games.
I don't like how strong you've gotten. The last time you were here, you were weak and you were broken.
That's what a 2-0 series lead will do.
And we tried to poke and prod you, and you were stoic, and you pretended like it didn't hurt, but we were pouring salt on a festering wound. Yeah. Now you come in here, and I cannot bother you. You are poised. You laugh in my face.
But am I wrong? Like, we're crushing it. We're entertaining as heck to watch. Kristaps going for 20 points in 20 minutes. Was that not thrilling?
No.
It was.
I will ask, do you believe that the country at large would acknowledge that this team is better than the one that won the championship?
We got to win the ship first. You can't even actually have that debate. I know I'm on a debate show. Worst guy to have on a debate show, but I can't debate that until we win the championship.
Wish it was.
Classic debate show.
This is not a debate show.
It's a podcast.
I'm simply trying to badger you until you get enraged.
He's so big timing us right now. Look at that championship glow.
I hate it.
We have to win first before we can have that conversation. You know what I mean?
Why? Why can't we have it right now?
Because what if the Mavs go and win the next 4, and then I get the email that's like, Dan wants you back on the show. Dan wants you back on the show.
We will.
I'll tell you why. Because Jason Kidd just said that if Luka wins the championship, he'll be the best Mav ever. And I'm like, he's still the best Mav ever. The next 3 or 4 games don't change that. Right now, this Celtics season, yes, if Porzingis gets hurt and something happens, you can lose the championship. I'm telling you now, like I told you during the regular season, this team is better than that one.
Yeah. I mean, do all of you believe that Luka's the best Maverick right now?
No.
Tom Cruise.
No.
Yeah.
It's about rings. Like, how can you just throw Dirk's whole catalog and whole career out the window?
Because Luka's already Luka's already better than him. The next 4 games don't change that. If Jason Tatum gets hurt and Luka wins the championship or doesn't win the championship, I already think he's better than Dirk. I don't need 4 games.
In a good old debate there.
Right. So let's say Luka never wins a championship in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to say, okay, so who's the most important Maverick of all time then?
Dirk is the most important, and he's the best Maverick of all time, and Dan knows that.
Right. Tom Cruise is the best Maverick of all time.
And J.J. Barea is a close second.
Are you going to stick around for when we talk Dak Prescott?
Mm-hmm. No, not a chance.
Okay.
Get me out of here.
All right. Anything else on your way out? We will have you on again to gloat if indeed you don't lose the next 4 games. But you say it's not time for that debate, and I would just tell you the way that they won and mastered in the modern game The Boston Celtics this year have been more overwhelming than the Celtics were when they won the championship. Stugotz, the Celtics took more games to win that championship. They were losing so much during that postseason. The one time they won the title, this team hasn't lost. They've dwarfed everybody.
They've been dominant.
Yeah, I mean,
you can
we
question.
were going against Kobe, right? Was that? Yeah, we beat Kobe in 08. So like that was a very tough Lakers team. Who did we beat on the way to that championship?
It was all 7-game series, and forgive me for not remembering who it was, but they took longer to win the title than anybody because it was tense the whole way. This hasn't been tense at all. McLovin's not been scared one time about anything.
Well, that's what you're mad about, that he hasn't been scared, and he doesn't care. He's perfectly fine. He's out on the patio. He's in the woods.
I mean,
he's having a drink.
the Pacers series was super entertaining, was it not? Even though we won in 4 games, most of those games came down to the last second. That was entertaining, more entertaining than this Mavericks series.
Enjoy it. You only get 2 more games of dismissively calling him McLovin before you have to call him NBA champion McLovin.
There you go.
I'm not trying to dismiss him. He's here, and he's feeling like a champion already. And giving us the platitude of it's too early to talk about any of that stuff. Look at him as he sips vigorously.
I know how this goes, man. I brag about it, and then we lose the next 4, and then there's just headlines everywhere.
Heady play.
All right?
Yeah.
I've had this before.
What kind of headline? Like CNN?
When did that happen to you?
Splats.
When did that happen to you?
Undoes championship chances.
I'll tell you.
McLovin celebrates too early.
I'll tell you when it happened to me was I was doing an interview, and someone goes, "Would you ever do a Superbad 2?" I was like, "No, we're not going to touch that." And then someone was like, "What about an all-female Superbad?" And I was like, "Sure, that sounds fun." Next day, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Superbad 2, female version, all over, and it was just like, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Well, that's what I'm trying to bait you into, but you're drinking your fancy Hollywood
We're trying
drink.
to Jason Kidd you. We're trying to get you to acknowledge that Jaylen Brown is the best player on the team.
Who's the best player?
Disrupt it.
Who's the best player? Who's the best player?
Who is the best player? Any given day, it's a different one. Any given day.
This
right
is the
now,
veteran
it's Drew.
experience that we were warned against.
I have a question. Have we heard anything about Tingus Pingus's injury yet?
Nothing.
It could be a hyperextension.
Right.
Okay.
He looks fine.
The birds.
There's
I mean, this
peaceful
guy.
cartoon birds in the
It's
back.
really
like it's
serenity. You're surrounded by serenity. Where are you? What bliss have you arrived at?
Lovely Woodland Hills, California, baby, deep in the valley.
Let me listen. Let's listen to it for a second. They all shut up.
Like the CBS morning show.
Oh, it's
Let's
great.
just sit around and here's 30 seconds.
I have to stay calm because your guys' energy is so
Scaring
stressful.
the birds.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gotta surround myself.
It's Sunday morning. Okay, I'm sorry. I believe that's still a great show, even though it's
Jane
only
Pauley?
for 80-year-olds. Yes, where everyone is
trumpets?
quiet for 30 seconds and we'll just listen to a stream. It's a Sunday morning show. We will listen to Christopher Mintz-Plasse drinking his Hollywood drink and sitting amid the birds.
Hey, what an honor to hear you say my full name. My real name.
Get his
What
ass.
a pleasure. What a pleasure. That's how you get me back on is keep yelling McLovin at me. Then I'll come back anytime.
I'm sorry.
You're good, man. You're good.
I don't mean it dismissively. Can we?
Nobody does. Nobody does. It's all good. It's a sign of love. You know what I mean?
Side of
Does anyone
McLove,
say
if you will.
CMP?
My parents, maybe.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because I think a lot of people default to McLovin in that they don't want to get your name wrong because it's a bit of a mouthful.
No, totally. So you know, I know I can give you a real answer is when it's people on the street, when it's fans, it's really nice and really endearing. When it's people that I've worked with or been in professional settings, it's a little. Well, last time I was on here, we were talking about that reality show that I was on, that Mars show. And
Stars
the
on
showrunner
Mars. Don't be
himself-
dismissive. It
Yeah.
was great.
The showrunner himself was like, "Where's McLovin? Where's McLovin?" in the headset, and I was like, "Oh, you're my boss. Like you're my contemporary here." It's a little off-putting in that situation. But when it's like out in regular life, people who don't know me, it's really sweet. I mean, they love the movie, so it's a sign of respect, I guess. You know.
Thank you for handling that with grace. I am sitting in front of you deeply ashamed, and it means you have won, Celtic. You have won in every way. You came here.
We tried to wreck your day, and you wrecked ours.
Yes, we tried to wreck your day, and you're a graceful winner. You're charming, and you're 2 games away from the championship.
Your first title since the invention of smart speakers.
Thank you for being on with us. We do appreciate the time. You are 34 years old next week, so let me see here if I can give you a happy birthday here the way that I would if I could see this correctly.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
That is Stephen A. Smith. I hope you enjoyed him walking into the arena the other day in a lavender suit.
I love it. He's my fashion icon.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
I was actually guilty of thinking that you celebrated your birthday last week because it got aggregated a bunch that McLovin's fake ID turned 40 last week. So I imagine some people hit him up with happy birthday.
He's gone.
Yeah. He doesn't even care for us to finish a sentence.
I just feel regret, though. I got to be honest.
That's not your style.
He was
man.
nice there, but I don't feel like he loves the McLovin stuff.
Well, clearly I aired. He was very nice about it, though.
He's also turning 35 next week. That's a fun.
What? I didn't say that?
34.
34.
Yeah.
Sheet says 34.
Just $1.
Okay, thank you, Stugotz. You're always there for me.
God, I hate that they're winning. It sucks so bad.
I don't know why this is exactly, but for some reason I play a certain word association with Jason Worth, where there really is only one thing that I think about when I think of Jason Worth, and it's the same thing that I think about when I think of Robin Lopez. And it is, what I associate with them is, do you realize how scary it would be to be out in the wilderness and out from behind a tree pops just, you don't know anything else, someone who looks like Jason Worth, someone who looks like Robin Lopez, giant with flowing hair. And for some reason, it's the association I make. Imagine my surprise this weekend when I learned that Jason Worth used his incredible $180 million contract. That was a thing once upon a time.
He was good, though.
Yeah, but not that good.
Not worth it.
Not worth it.
I don't know.
Hey.
That's pretty good. Not worth it.
I don't think he goes down as one of the bad contracts, though.
No,
Like, he got paid a lot, but he was a good player.
Yeah,
He's
but
not 2 weeks of Bad Boys. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Fair enough. But 180 million, I'm remembering that from memory. I don't even know if that's right. I'm just assuming it's right because I associate him with those two things, popping out in the wilderness and terrifying me, and getting a contract that is a contract that I associate the numbers with this man's name. Because he got one of those deals before. You're like, wait a minute, all the salaries are changing. Now I know it's gone. Ohtani and everyone else makes it crazy. But once upon a time, the contract that Jason Worth got, there were so many headlines, Stugotz. Is he worth it?
Yes.
Because it was a monster deal for him to now be a horse racing champion when that sport is super expensive and super competitive to get to the top of. I can't believe that he has a horse that won the Belmont.
It was 7 years, $126 million for Jason Worth.
Okay, so forgive me. I was $60 million off. But I do
Adjusted for
associate him with
inflation.
money. And now horse racing is super expensive. And it's hard to win, and he looks exactly the way that he did in his playing career.
I'm happy for him. We talked to him in Tahoe last year, and
it
it's
was great.
quite frankly a top 5 interview I've ever had in my career. I loved our time with him. He's truly bizarre.
Yeah.
And I saw that video. I was like, I had no idea you were doing this. I'm so happy for you.
He's in the Washington Nationals Ring of Honor.
He lived up to it.
Well, but the contract he signed was to leave there, was it not? It was to go to Philadelphia, was it not? Or he
No, it was
just
the other
signed
way
on
around.
in
No,
Washington?
the other way around. He had the
Okay.
years in Philly. National signed him 7 years, 126.
And then Anthony Rendon would get twice that for leaving the Nationals and going to the Anaheim Angels because the salaries in that sport exploded so much that Hal Steinbrenner now says, I can't afford to be the owner of the Yankees
He should be
anymore.
ashamed of himself. I mean, I'm serious. Ohtani jerseys at a Yankee game.
I wanted to ask you guys something here before we get out of here because I'm watching on television here one of the things, Stugotz, that I've really enjoyed, which is Paul Pierce becoming a full professional wrestling troll. He is right now on Undisputed wearing a giant chain. Was this what he was wearing last night at the game as well? He is celebrating his Celtics fandom. It hurts, Stugotz, locally to watch this team, the Boston Celtics, that we've been able to mock because their history is so ancient, The one championship that they won got Paul Pierce a career in media, Kendrick Perkins a career in media, Kevin Garnett working Uncut Gems, Doc Rivers, job after job after job because they deigned to win one for Boston. And that still means something. Paul Pierce has gone full professional wrestling heel as a sports media member. He's wearing sunglasses and a giant chain sitting between Keyshawn Johnson and the end of Skip Bayless's career.
It's not Skip, just the end of his career.
It's not. I'm sorry.
I mean, how much longer can it possibly be going? It's pushing 80, ain't he?
Well, but it's not. I don't mean to laugh.
It's funny, man.
I tried to stay in character there, but it has to be. Look. You saw how Stephen A. strutted into the stadium. You saw. Come on. And Skip broke apart from that, and now look at what he's doing with Paul Pierce.
This looks fun in his defense.
Not when only 50,000 people are watching.
Jason Worth never had 100 RBIs in a season. Not worth it.
Stugotz, you already made that joke.
But never had 100 RBIs.
It got a good reaction the first time. I mean, he wasn't good enough to merit that contract. But he was a great interview, according to Mike Ryan. That concludes our horse racing coverage.